caught a little bit of that. Hi, hello, welcome to Star Wars.
Ew.
Okay. All right. So we rolled Destiny a while ago. You can't see it right now on the video because we realized we did not reset the duty tables, so we had to do that. Just for D1 to just spit us out a 99 and for it not even to matter.
I will turn.
He's very sassy today.
Yeah, I will laugh. Rolled obligation. It was 16 out of a possible 15, so it's like, I see how you are.
Oh yeah, this just reminds me of when Dewey was 99 and we were just one short
He's screaming.
that one time.
Okay. But all right. Did you guys do anything with your EXPs?
I got Lethal Bros 3 and another point of grit, so I have 17 strain now.
Okay, so
Oh,
I picked up Saber Throw from a Turbo Striker and then Confidence from a Starfighter Ace.
Okay.
Nice.
What's that
I did nothing.
Of course he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so now I'm pretty much... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
As I say, I bought Knowledge is Power, so now I start every session with 2 conflict.
Alrighty.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how
Okay.
that works out for you.
May I ask what that does again?
Stop.
Knowledge is Power is the one that lets once per session, right?
Yeah.
You make your force rating equal to your
No, increases.
increase your force rating by what is it? Knowledge Warfare?
Yes.
Yeah. Increase force rating. Spicy.
Super spicy.
So for one check, he gets a max of +5 force rating.
Ah. Nice.
Don't worry, I have
And-
no ranks in Knowledge Warfare yet, so it's useless at the
Yeah.
moment, but I wanted it.
It's not good right now, but you've got the
I thought
conflict
you
and
had
you can
some.
build towards it. Yeah.
You used to have it as a career skill?
Yes.
No?
Yes.
Cool.
That's a general thing. And I believe somebody asked Marth about confidence earlier. That's the one that decreases the difficulty for. Is that the one for fear checks, or is
Yeah.
that a different one?
Let me check it. Yeah, it is. I think fear checks.
-1D on fear checks, I believe. Yes. Okay. Well, real quick, since this is a recording of an audio variety, I will remind everybody this episode is brought to you by patrons like Adam DeHarbaugh, Comics Architect 10, Bless G, Carlos Qua, Jeremy Vasquez, Kelly Dan, Legendary Boss Hunter, Bleem, Cast, Rogue Ramen, Shiny Piece, some goddamn Bob, Soda Zone over 247, 15. Zach, if you like what we do, once these work, it's a Patreon. You can access it early and lots of other goodies. Helps that. Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
I hammed that one up a little bit. I did have to cough though.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So, I have an idea where the session should start, but technically last session ended with a slight cliffhangerous. And I did want to know if there was any further reaction to that new information.
So outwardly, no.
Right.
But there might, if you're looking at Aramaa, you might notice some fist tightening, some jaw clenching, maybe some deep breaths.
Mhm.
Yes, very much. In terms
Oh,
of screaming.
right, the Moth.
Yeah, so I
We
revealed last
discovered a
time that
Mothman.
the alien species that was on the blurry hologram, which Camo then blurrily recorded on his helmet cam. It's like a double Bigfoot footage. Our species called the Bombyx. I made those up, so nobody worry about it. I wrote some, a few paragraphs of lore details and some stat lines. It's too long to read out on air, but here, for the sake of the recording, I'll post you what I gave their playable stats are, if they want to come back later.
Neat.
And that's, if you're wondering what dice types those are, because they're obviously non-colored on Discord, that's add a boost to perception checks, add a setback die to discipline and vigilance checks when exposed to bright light. And you will, and if anybody has any clarification about, like, their physical appearance, their humanoid, standard heights, armored external carapace, though I did go for the kind of built-in arm and leg warmers look, fluffy
yes.
arms and legs.
Yes.
Have wing-like membranes that are almost cape-like, kind of down the body, so they glide. I thought about doing the double limbs, but I was concerned about all the extra stuff they got already. And multiple limbs is usually a somewhat expensive extra because it gives you another free maneuver return. So I decided to go with just 2 legs, 2 arms. Maybe they, much like the ability to flight, maybe they lost extra limbs in evolution or whatever. And the short version, which, because Boots has knowledge xenology, you would know, is they're from a planet in the Midrim, Sericus. I'll type that, remind them. Yeah, so Boots is back. But he would know because he has knowledge xenology, and Aramaa may know for other reasons. They're from Sericus in the Midrim. They were hooked up with the Republic about 500 years ago, while scouting the Midrim. They've been a member species about that long. Unfortunately, they fell in pretty heavily with the Trade Federation as major clients because they're really great at textiles, as you can tell from their special ability. So, when the Separatist Compact went in, they withdrew. And perhaps there was a Republic invasion there that did stuff.
I'm trying to find the proper image, but not an improper image.
That is a concern, yes. There are some... Yeah, there's some influences from some Monster Girl stuff.
Yeah, I know.
I think I think the Bombics are a little more inhuman looking, but still leaning towards clearly we pulled some shit out of the back of the prop closet in classic Star Wars fashion, right?
Yeah.
Like the reason why there's a Wolfman in A New Hope is because somebody pulled the Wolfman mask out of the the prop trailer. Yeah, I would say probably not the head-like wing membranes, but more on the shoulders.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
probably,
that's similar kind of a context.
I assume more opposable fingers, and then maybe actual insect eyes.
I forgot I was
didn't-
muted, but that's the exact moth I was thinking of.
Well, of course it is.
Yeah. I don't think I noted in the description more or less fingers. So, just think of classic Star Wars tropes. Assume they probably have 5 fingers because in a cartoon that would be harder for the modeling department to be like, shit, these guys have less fingers. That kind of stuff.
Probably distinct insect eyes because photosensitive and other things like that.
Yes, their eyes are more composite looking, though are still in the face. They do have antenna, very sensitive antenna, which give them a very... So it's noted in the description they have nostrils, mouth parts, slightly elongated tongues because they're vegetarians.
No.
They evolved from a species that eats leaves and drinks plant nectar. But their antennae have feelers and sensitive hairs and chemical sensors, which basically, so the antennas act as an extra copy of all their sensory organs, basically. So they're very sensy. That's why they have cunning 3 and that boost on perception checks. However, they're mostly nocturnal. So like a moth, if you shine a bright light in their face, they get kind of distracted and unnerved. I decided it was too vigilance and discipline. So they are easily distracted and their senses are dulled when you shine a bright light on them. They can glide, they can't fly. They have I went for standard wounds and strain levels. But by default they're bad at presence because I said this offline, but their original culture was hippie communist moth people. They lived in communal villages and just, ate leaves and made silk crafts and stuff. And now they're haughty aristocratic moth people after we introduced them to the evils of capitalism. It's a deep cutting political commentary here on the Star Wars AP.
That's how societies go sometimes.
All right. So, yeah, that was just where we ended last time. If, there's no need for a further comment or speculation.
Yeah.
I want to flash forward the rest of the day since you guys took some time to craft and buy and repair and stuff. If anybody has any strain, you should go ahead and wipe all of it. Does anybody have any wounds left?
No, we're good.
Okay. Because if you did, I think you would heal a total of 3, but we're...
I've got 2 wounds.
Okay, you can just knock those off. You're good. You have a couple days off. And actually, honestly, if I remember correctly, other than studying Camo's, notes, his records, Boots was actually pretty much taking a day off, basically. Wasn't doing a lot of, like, weird crafting or anything.
I'll have to ask about
Yeah.
what the team wants to do after the big meeting right now, but it's later.
Well, so I think it's morning of meeting time. It's not the actual meeting. You probably set that for, like, around noontime or afternoon to make sure everybody can get in, because some people won't, start traveling until the day of. But you guys are going to be, because you've rented your bungalow, you guys will be huddled, I think, around in a circle with some holocoms, and are basically having your, in a business you might call this your morning all hands meeting, So you guys are here. You've got either Shark or Motorhead. I don't know if after a couple of days you would have like done a rotation duty where some of those guys go back. Some of the guys go back to Sierra Mobile and come out to you.
I did give them basically shore leave. Yeah, probably rotation, so some of our boys can come experience the goodness that is Clifftop House, and some of the guys here.
Yeah, so we'll say it's 3 days later. We'll say Shark's up with you and Motorhead's back at the vehicle where he wants to be anyway. You've got a slightly blurry but still steady connection to Clone Lieutenant RS, who is on site at the base facility.
Cool.
He and some of the tech guys have not had their vacation day. And have been working on that. You've got Master Lago on another connection, and Clone Commander Bricks, etc.
Mm.
So, like I said, big conference call.
Oh, geez, Master Lago's involved. Oh, okay. I guess that makes sense.
Well, yeah, this is after a few days of your after action report, this is morning briefing. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Basically, I think this will start with probably either Captain Shark or Commander Bricks doing a basic recap of the situation as you know it.
Mm-hmm.
Went to the Effiani region, the Effiani parish, found an enemy base, captured a vehicle, captured the base. Have been receiving, various warnings, even taunts from the enemy. We now have intelligence that at least one of the separatist commanders on planet is a Bombix. Master Lagos hologram gives you like a meaningful look and nod, Aramaa.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what's up.
Mm-hmm.
You guys probably give your like high level reports. Aramaa is probably asked to speak on her, urban renewal plans, but we don't need to go into detail right now. Just it would have been on the notes, and we'll start an actual role play with RS basically being asked to present on what he's found at the Fire Canyon base location, the base that was identified with the Fabergé or Firestorm unit. So he basically starts his recap with, well, it is like Camo said, the computer systems are pretty fried. But I've got to be honest, I don't really know what he could have done about that. I'm not even sure all of us with our tech could have stopped him. It's a pretty thorough process. The mainframe is completely blanked out, as are any of the previous records in the actual comms and command and control equipment. But the actual connection to the comms antenna and the sensor arrays did survive. We just lost all the records. We've also captured several tons of enemy ordnance. Not just normal stuff, like proton torpedoes and bombs, but I'm talking experimental stuff too. Incendiary charges, seismic charges, cluster bombs, air-deployed landmines of anti-personnel and anti-tank varieties. The works. We've accidentally opened up more than a couple missiles filled with buzz droids. That's been real fun. Getting the boys their target practice. You probably hear a clone technician in the back be like, "One of them cut me thumb." It's like, you're fine. His thumb's fine. And thanks to a little bit of timely intervention from Camo, it does appear that the geothermal power plant is intact as well. So this place is fully stocked on power and everything. It's got water pumps to prevent the waterfall from leaking in. But the main door now has also several tons of rock in it. So I'm not really sure what practical use this will be, except as a listening post. But he kind of turns to face towards the Master Lago and his clone commander, because they're back at Republic Base. But depending on what information we get out of the droid brain, we might be able to actually coordinate the larger base this was hooked up to. This was definitely just a forward operating post. This didn't have any kind of like fabrication equipment for any of these munitions. Just spare parts, repair tools, sensors. The comms antenna was definitely pointed in a direction when it was all shut down, even if we don't know the exact location and equipment it was hooked up to. But we might be able to reverse engineer some codes or something. And he kind of passes it on. There's no comments on that.
Mm-hmm.
Have a nice pause. Nobody comments. All right. So Commander Brick, since he's back at the base, will basically run down the list of the droid you recovered. They unhooked the brain from the chassis, which they are also studying. And he basically runs down, the whole line of the droid. It seems to be specialized. We double-checked its internal IFF coding and our own sensor matches. This droid brain and this airframe appeared to be one of the bombers that attempted to intercept you out in the sea on board that sub-platform.
Oh.
Because if you guys will remember, I think twice you used triumphs to make one of those enemies fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. I remember like these things showing up before, so yeah.
Yes, you did encounter hyena bombers before, and yes, I do
Yeah.
believe that at least one or two of them were knocked out of the fight by getting lost, so this was one of those. Unfortunately, it's heavily been encrypted and upgraded. It's got a real, mil-spec droid brain in there. This isn't just some idiot clanker. This is a real one. It might be as smart as some of their tactical droids. We've been trying to slice open the code barriers to get at what it knows, but it's been resisting so far. Just got surface level information on its previous, mission orders, weapon configurations, and Master Lago will kind of cut it and say, our enemies are getting emboldened, personal. I believe, based on what the clones have said about these mainframes and the surface information we've got from the droid brain, this droid's knowledge was cultivated and run through numerous scenarios inside the mainframe. Does that sound about right? And RS kind of nods and say, yeah, the computers are pretty big. They would have been best used for either, decryption efforts like breaking your codes or big math probability sims. So Master Lago kind of takes back over and goes through. It would appear that this droid brain was fed all of the enemy's tactical information on all of your engagements until now.
Oh.
Huh.
So this droid brain, this is me out of character slightly, but this droid brain was custom built to fight you guys.
Oh no.
It was programmed. It literally survived a fight with you, and it was programmed to run through simulations of every military encounter you've had on Soholiv that they know about, and possibly some stuff from the archives. I can even reveal to you that is a character, one of its special abilities.
Wow.
So this
Damn.
enemy upgrades any combat check or opposed check it makes targeting Aramaa, or upgrades the difficulty of any combat checks or opposed checks Aramaa makes against it once.
Scary.
It's like adversary just for Aramaa.
Terrifying.
That's what Jedi Hunter droids would be like. They have that for like Jedi Hunter or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
This thing's also just normally adversary too, but
Oh, that's why it was giving me such a mean mug.
yes, it is. So this thing was put in a virtual hell of beating you. Like
Oh.
it has been run through simulation after simulation to fight you specifically.
Oh man, and he got taken out by boots.
Yes, the droid brain is quite sassy right now. We've noticed. He's a little silly. But yes, it would appear that the enemy devised a plan of attack specifically to lure you guys out to the site where you would be on unfavorable ground to be engaged.
Oh.
The fact that you managed to so swiftly turn the terrain against the enemy and use it to your advantage is a sign of foresight and guidance. Arasari, that's pretty.
Actually, interesting. I think. Wow. Well, out of character, I just actually remember, like, didn't I say, like, back at the beginning, this was either something personal or fucking experimental or something like
Something
that?
to that
Yes,
degree, yes.
you did actually.
Yeah.
It was both.
Yes, he
Wow.
Yeah,
did.
it turns out it was both.
Damn.
RS kind of cuts in and he's like, luckily it looks like based on this hardware setup that I don't think they can mass produce this kind of simulation system, but they still might have got some programming data they could translate to other droid units to be a little more advantageous against our tactics. We might have to, devise some new strategies, make sure not to run the same playbook over and over again. Everybody kind of nods.
Mm-hmm.
But back with the base team between Master Lago and Commander Bricks, they basically are like, it'll take us a few more days to crack it, but this thing was receiving, backup orders and had nav beacons to return to another base. It appears that there is a volcanic island region off the shore from this coast where it looks like there might be an enemy base embedded, which would make sense because there would be more geothermal activity for power. There might be heavier metals for manufacturing. And, you probably see some blurry hologram images of some of these islands. It's a lot like the islands, though those are in the opposite direction. Right, different coast. But they're a lot like those islands you fought the Bandogora on. Like, they're just, craggly volcanic spires and stuff that, peek up out of the waves. Though, obviously, we don't want to engage willy-nilly, because the enemy's probably decently embedded in there. But if we can locate this base and eliminate it, that will probably be the enemy's last major foothold on this continent, and hopefully we can bring the fight to them after this, since they would have to be. That would be such a major installation. They would have to be receiving, intel directly from the Separatist command center, wherever that is on the other continent.
Mm-hmm.
Which you guys already have, I think, like 2 bullet points of a triangle on anyway.
Yeah.
So, hey, here's your last triangle bullet point.
Cool.
Cool.
I don't actually say cool out loud.
No, but
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that'll be
Nodding.
a next
Same.
cycle problem. Is you'll attack the base and the island.
Mhm.
Have some fun, do some cool stuff.
All right.
But yeah,
Mhm.
I think the only other thing is it list of stuff is having been a few days, and because you guys did do this as part of your duty rollover, I think this was all on Mike, but just to recap, duty rolled over, so they decided they could get something, wanted to earn a vehicle asset, and picked an Architect's class cruiser.
Yeah.
Right.
Jedi light cruiser. So this would basically be the point where that asset gets introduced. And Master Lago brings up that because of our strategic efforts and the growing threat on Sohaliv, that the enemy here is serious, High Command has issued us some additional ships, one of which is being attached specifically to your group.
Hey.
That is the light cruiser RSS Redeemer.
Yeah.
And it is captained by Commander Valkyrie. Valkyrie. It's actually spelled different, by the way.
Mm.
I just have to decide on how I want to pronounce it. Valkyrie?
Valkyrie.
Commander Mishkal. I'll repost it for you guys. This was definitely off mic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Valkyrie.
Okay.
And yeah, she can probably pop on the holo briefly. You know, you see probably a taller, uniformed. It's a hologram, so everything's in like blue scale, but you could probably see by some of the facial markings that she appears to be Pantoran. Light hair in a tight braid back there. You know, introduces herself. Commander Mishkol at your service. Ready to serve the Republic. Hello, this is my voice now. The Redeemer is ready to serve. She's a Navy officer. She probably got a slight heel. You need to project authority. I'm imagining wearing the a little tight-laced uniform. You know, maybe got the officer's greatcoat over it, wearing the hat, the whole thing.
Big hat.
And so that's the gist of everything I had to bring up at morning briefing. Is there anything you want to discuss with each other or various NPCs before the day begins?
Well, as I said, we're having the town meeting because this is slightly out of character. This is mostly for a reminder for you guys, but we're having this town meeting because it's come to our attention that there are more major population centers out here on SWRPG that are not receiving the sweet ass benefits that Aramaa's urban renewal projects, you know, air quotation marks, in there, are benefiting from. So we need to, basically the gist of the meetings today is to find out how much actual support do they want and how much freedoms they want to give up for it, I guess is the way to say it. Because unfortunately the only real thing we have actually a lot of is well, kind of is, the budget committee will never stop yelling at me, is funding and clone troopers. So we can put boots and ships around here and be like, yes, you are now protected from the threat.
Well, and you did just, if you want to push, you did just get intel that while you've dealt with a forward, fob, there's still a major enemy outpost nearby. This could turn into a war front.
Yeah, actually, that's new information. I definitely want to push on that. So we might want to, like, ideally what I want to do is what we did with fucking SWRPG is drop a fucking...
Moridu,
yes, thank you. Drop a fucking command center, some barracks and stuff, maybe a couple fucking cannons, and then start patrols up and down the area for a military presence. But again, that means there's going to be troopers wandering around, poking at things occasionally and be like, what's this over here? Some people might not like that. Second thing, so that's on the military front. On the economic front, we basically need to incentivize travel from one side of the continent to the other, usually maybe via some sort of tax, like shuttle service.
Well, I mean, if you were going to basically import, even if it was prefab, a command center, you would need your own infrastructure.
Yeah.
So the thing about More Iridu was that you drop that in the middle of you bulldoze some holdings that were no longer required.
I think didn't we bulldoze the plantation? No, it wasn't the plantation. It was the greenhouse, the Bexley greenhouse.
Yes, you basically acquired through your cult knowledge some property. You had government seized property that was used in criminal enterprises, and we're like, we can repurpose this, and you bulldozed some derelict chunks of the city and turned them into training grounds, command post, etc.
Mm-hmm. Actually, now I'm thinking
hooked it up with sensor networks, etc.
There's a lot more open area. We probably don't have to set in a city, but
no, though remember the weather is a little unusual here. Higher speed winds moving, but clearer skies. But yes, you would need some kind of staging point to bring in troops yes, you can land a Hilo gunship anywhere. That doesn't mean that you don't like helipads, right?
True. Do they don't actually have anything like near like a spaceport or anything over here, do they?
Oh gosh, no, not a spaceport.
Well, not a spaceport, but like
I don't even know if they like some people, especially down in the Delta region, the neighboring area, are rich enough to own decently high end private airspeeders. So they could like travel to the capital and whatnot. But especially in the more working class areas or in some of the closer in areas, they don't have a lot of that on their own. No, actually thinking about it, while there is an industrial element to the Efiana region, right? Like I said, they do some metal mining and like they basically do like prospecting, filtering heavy metals and salts out of the water here. Most of that probably ends up in Old Dog and is either used internally for what industry there is to support itself, very circular that way, or it gradually builds up enough mass to like get hooked up to a large speeder truck and hoofed like overland or in an air delivery,
so...
like there are probably regions in Old Dog as a major center, and obviously like Clifftop House, for instance, and there will be several other like high altitude settlements in the actual canyons have space to take gliders, speeder bikes, even some decently sized cargo air speeders. But there's not any form of comprehensive transport hub, basically, to circle back around to how we started this conversation.
All right, so I mean, I'm
setting up just some landing pads and hangar bays. I feel like is there a landing pad? Probably not. There are like garages and
actually there's
and
the fucking
hangars.
I know there's in the module there's the module ones, there's the motor pool. Hang on.
Yes, there are like motor pools and garages and hangars. I don't think there's a standalone landing pad, so that's probably not creating some landing zones is probably not that hard, but you would need to like possibly wrestle with some land grants or buy some territory and like actually establish some legit landing pads of a certain rating. That would be pretty easy to set up in the short term. Longer term, this place probably needs a rail line. But that's going to be like a big, long, multi-year project.
Well, let's see here. It depends on where. The thing about a rail line is the more stops it hits, the more stops it can hit, the more profitable it can be.
I mean, so we can pull up our rough map.
Where's the fucking map? I forgot where. Did I save the map? I didn't save the map. Why didn't I save the map? Or did I save the map and just put it in the place where I forgot about it? Oh, I bet I did.
Who knows? Anyway, here it is.
Sweet.
Here's a rough map of Soholiv. So you're up in the northwest. And obviously now that you see this, you can see your targets are somewhere in the Vulamin Sea. But Outpost Soholiv and More Iridu are way down there. But you do have the Badlands and Lorcall, which has that minor level gem trade.
Yeah,
you could probably skirt the Badlands and do like basically a straight shot through Lorcall into More Iridu. If you wanted to be slightly more ambitious, you could take another curve and hook up a rail line to Outpost Soholiv, then on to More Iridu. Because right now, a lot of your transit from the outpost, the science base, to More Iridu is done through speeder taxis, like we mentioned. This would allow you to move a lot of people and a lot of cargo. Which also, depending on how much of a combat buildup you want to do, that's why military rail lines exist. Because you guys had to hoof it by wheel, and that still took you like what, 48 hours, 72, something like that. And yeah, you have a big vehicle, but if you built a rail line, you could move a whole company and probably.
How big?
Actually, gosh, that's a good question. How fast can you travel by rail?
Ubeshu's way too fucking out there. They'd probably be in there like a separate line from maybe Ubeshu to. Big
Yeah,
Hill.
Ubeshu's down in the south.
Yeah.
You would either need a fork or a triangle line.
Like honestly, the way of looking at it here, probably if we're gonna go from like Old Dog to Moriarty, I would say Old Dog to Lorcal to Big Hills to Outpost Oholiv to Moriarty. Canhead.
Oh man, that would be a huge economic boon to Big Hills because you guys remember that was a pretty small town.
That was a pretty small town, but I remember they also did big and they deal in the fucking the spice.
They're a plantation town basically. So yeah, that would give them a lot of cheap direct delivery straight to the capital, which has a spaceport.
Yeah. Like I would like to throw in like Canhead and Ubeshu in there, but they're just too fucking far out. Because basically, I just want to do like if they're to do a rail, it would just have to be do one line to start with, and try to basically go from one side of the continent to another.
Yeah, and then once the transcontinental, as it were.
Yeah. Well, the only problem is with this actually like we can probably maybe give some initial funding and investment, but the majority of this would actually have to come out of fucking Sohalib. We can't the Republic can't bankroll this entire fucking project. That's
Not entirely. Not unless you wanted to start it as a military rail and then just as soon as the war's over, demilitarize it. But that would still be a long-term solution.
Yeah.
Like, you could probably get the Republic to foot the bill for the short route from Apostoliv to Mort Iridu directly.
Yeah.
The reason why they probably haven't done that is just to connect those two is probably inefficient.
Mm-hmm.
But if you could talk to the locals, and honestly, you'd probably want to do that back in the outpost and get all the parish governments together.
Mm-hmm. Well, honestly, now that we're talking about a rail, this is probably something that we should probably all stops should probably be involved.
Yeah.
Yes,
But-
you'd want to get everybody on a conference call and be like, okay, we have a proposition. We want to improve infrastructure across Sohaliv.
But so yeah,
Are you guys willing to pay the tax increases and provide the labor for us to build a speeder train, which is basically a maglev rail? So
Yeah.
build high speed rail.
While we're over here, in
Which I'm gonna say, by the way, I did some rough calculations. Apparently, by Real Boy train, it's still 3 hours from LA to DC, but that's with modern trains. On an elevated maglev, you're probably half or a third of the time, so it would be very time efficient.
We're talking probably well, it's not technically Hyperloop technology, but it's up there.
Yeah, it's pretty fast. And cargo will be faster because you don't need to worry about accidentally liquefying anybody.
But yeah, no. So in the Eviana, we'll bring up that we'll start talks here and see if they want. We'll talk about if we'll set up some temporary shuttles and landing pads, a military outpost, and how much military presence they want. On the way back, we'll probably hit Lorcal, Big Hills, and Outpost Sohaliv, and spread the word that hey, there's gonna be a conference. Finger guns.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's it. The other thing here is the Delta and the Parish here kind of work on tourism as well. Well, no, that'll be handled once we get the shuttle service, because then, as I said, travel promotes trade promotes economy. So
Yes. Basically, you need to let everybody know it's safe to come back to this region because they had a bandit problem for a while, and you need to provide the actual infrastructure to enhance it because people were making their way out here before, but it's not to the same end. You've done a lot to improve the infrastructure in other places, so now you need to just make it so people can get to this parish, this region, and eat of its fruits, as it were. If you were looking for a second bullet point, I think that would be something we talked about earlier with their delinquent problem is like better opportunities and vocational. Some of that will be solved by travel, like people can go get jobs in the big city, but at the very least, you might want to like start with like some job fair type shit and be like, figure out how to promote things so that the kids down here might be interested in jobs in the big city. If you don't want to go full blown, like have the Republic open a technical school. Because I will remind you, you do have a small outpost, but you have a Jedi Service Corps outpost back at the Republic base. One of those branches is EduCorps, who are here to provide free education to people, basically. So you could rustle up a half dozen Jedi school marms out here, armed with space Bibles and teaching droids.
Well, I'm just thinking it would be better for them just to come to maybe Outpost Sohaliv, or for them.
You could do that too. That would certainly get them in the infrastructure. You have the teaching space, and if you're gonna build the bus stop, basically, and you could run buses for free for students. That's a little. You would definitely probably want to do some social engineering on that, because that's like what would he say, like a 6 or 8 hour trip, I think.
Yeah, no, well, honestly, it'd probably be better honestly, we could probably do. I don't know.
By the way, I just want to say the more and more we invest in Sohaliv, the more and more I want to like turn this into an Age of Rebellion game, like or an Edge of the Empire game, like 20 or 30 years later.
I kind of want to play Old Man Camo.
Well, we can see the railroads go from like gleaming and new to like broken down and full of bandits.
Yeah.
Aramaa builds a vocational boarding school, and then the Empire turns it into a weird fashy boot camp, and then they burn it down.
I mean, if we ever want to come back to Star Wars, I'm like, the more I like, because that's the thing, we're investing a lot of time, effort, and characters into Sohaliv. I definitely would not mind.
I know you've said this before as like maybe as a kind of a personal pain to you, but like it rises like the Mage of War flavor. It's like, in a military thing, you get invested in the campaign, or at least as in the actual.
Well, yeah, and this is Lucky's logistics thing coming up, but you do want to be invested in the locale, and I think that's part of the setup of Sohaliv, especially after some characterization, became that like this planet's not great to fight on. How do we make it better?
How do we get more fighting for?
But honestly, maybe we can just like maybe a couple of the Jedi Service Corps wouldn't mind just coming out, like not necessarily moving out there, but like just rotate them out like on a weekly or monthly basis, a few in, and if they want like more advanced courses and whatever's being, actually I think that'll work best. We send out a couple of the Service Corps to give basic education and training and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But advanced education and training will be done here at Sohaliv. I don't know, like a Sohaliv Community College or something.
More.
Yeah, basically, because from your experience, the local youth are technically skilled, generally. Some even higher than their previous generations. A lot of them are athletically skilled. But also they don't have any like contextual knowledge outside of like farming and mining. So probably what your basic courses would be making sure everybody can read and write basic stuff like that, understand how to manage money, basic civics shit. And then your advanced courses they would probably go back to is like actual, technical high industry stuff, like programming and, advanced vehicle operations, stuff like that. Yeah,
so I think that's what it is. We'll basically set up a small school out here. We'll have the Service Corps or any other maybe educators. Doesn't necessarily have to be the Service Corps, but I'm pretty sure they'd be up to it.
Yeah, that was another thing I was going to add. You would probably know, like, I'm not going to, force you to, like, make any checks to persuade them. You probably know from your experience with them that the if you recall, we began this campaign with, a sudden incident and a little bit of a lockdown.
Mhm.
So most of your service corps guys were pulled back to base, and even though restrictions have lifted, there hasn't been a lot of excitement for any of them outside of, what was it, Explore Corps? I think it was
Yeah.
the survey group.
Yeah.
Yeah, those doing the archaeological stuff. Those guys, you know them very well. They're pretty busy supplementing the scientists.
Mhm.
But there's the other 4 branches are, if I remember correctly, Agricorps, Medicorps, Educorps. So you could probably make a Jedi Service Corps outpost or schoolhouse out here, and you could even have those other services rotate out here. You could have some Medicorps guys come out here and teach, basic first aid and stuff,
Mhm.
do some checkups, public health,
Mhm.
and you could have Agricorps come out here and assess, most of the people here, you drove over, through, around several plantations and farms here, right?
Yeah.
Like, you scoped out the terrain. You wouldn't say the people especially down in the Delta, need any education, but this could help build the skills of those next generations, could give them new tips and techniques,
Mhm.
could just offer free labor to those people who need it, And these... Okay, well, I mean, there's... Some of them might be slightly resentful at being Jedi washouts, but most of the Service Corps people are happy to be here, And they are Jedi, but they are strictly non-militant.
Yeah.
Not that
Well,
Jedi
well,
are
actually,
technically
fuck it,
supposed to be
we'll
militant, but you guys are
just-
Jedi
we'll
Knights.
just- I guess we'll just make a fucking youth center, I guess. I guess is the best way to fucking put it.
And just kind
You
of
gotta
expand
help
from
these
there.
kids.
Gotta help these kids.
You gotta make a first step, so just start there, I guess.
And we'll set up a youth center where they can come, learn, hang out, talk to people that aren't their parents or neighbors.
Yeah, you could probably...
Build a
we haven't named a lot of them, but you would know some of them, some of your Service Corps kids are young. Some people wash out of being... literally, if you get skipped for being picked to be a Padawan, you go through the youngling training and you don't have enough aptitude to be trained as a Jedi Padawan, you go straight to the Service Corps. Some people wash out at night. Your good friend, Europa Real. She did not pass her trials to be a knight, so she's about Aramaa's age. Maybe actually a little bit older, because Aramaa was kind of rushed into knighthood. And while you do know some older Service Corps members, there are some people who are probably still only in their late teens, early 20s. You could send out here.
Yeah, let's do that. So, first order of business will be...
Also, subtly, that's how you guys keep an eye out for future Jedis.
correct.
Well, yeah. So, first order of business, setting up a military outpost and presence, complete with soldiers walking around. How do they feel about this? 2, setting up temporary landing pads to facilitate travel between the areas.
And honestly, technically, especially if they're temporary, that part's actually probably step 1. You'll probably want to talk to them about the military base first, but yeah, I think step 0 to a prefab base is, okay, we're going to be dropping crates and parts. We need a flat space to work.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, clearing.
yes. Actually, let me actually write this down so I can keep
Ooh, a
it.
bulleted list, my favorite.
Yeah. All right. Let me use my notes doc here. So, step 0, landing spaces.
And for that, you definitely at least want to talk to them about that,
Yeah.
because you'd want to know where you can put them,
Yeah.
both in terms of infrastructure and in terms of where they would like them.
Yes. Step 2, military command post and presence, I guess is the best way to put it. Step 3 will be... should it be... Well, what will come out? Yeah, it'd probably be the urban renewal and transportation project, I guess it'd be.
You talk to them about opening up a speeder train stop here, and then what industries could use not really a bailout, but a hand,
Yes. Transport. I can't fucking type.
Actually, part of that also, by the way, would probably be because I will bring this up to you because it's part of your duty. You know now for a fact these people were explicitly targeted by enemy action.
Mm.
So there is probably some, disaster relief funds you can free up explicitly to like start dishing out that all those people who now have holes in their front yards because separatists blew them up.
Yeah. So economic stimulus and disaster relief will probably be the.
Which, by the way, that was another thing. Your air defense last session defended it. If you guys hadn't, that the Fabergé bomber was gonna blow up one of the hydroelectric dams in Old Dog. It probably wouldn't have killed a lot of people, but it would have caused big losses in power and infrastructure and like temporary flooding. Like it would have been a mini disaster.
Jesus, I'm glad it's. Jeez.
Wow. Yeah.
Man, I'm
Yeah.
real.
So our
Good job on the boys. Jesus, they rolled real good.
Yeah, they did roll real good that night.
Man,
Hey, heck, one of them got shut down. He's okay, but you guys used up resources effectively. In case.
mhm.
I missed that for a moment. What? Like, how hits was that?
The night that we found the base and they had flown off, they were gonna the intended target if we hadn't stopped it would have been one of Old Dog's hydroelectric dams.
Oh, okay. That
Would have probably caused a few direct deaths and then big losses of power, clean water, and flood damage. So it would have been
quite a lot of
for
damage.
a small town like Old Dog. It would have been pretty bad in terms of like infrastructural damage, and you probably would have had to pay to replace a hydroelectric dam.
Oof.
We had like really good luck even. So it's like as a group, as a whole, we had.
Actually, okay, man.
I was about to say, am I the only one getting that?
No,
Actually,
Axe's roboting
you're
pretty badly.
roboting up for us.
Yeah.
I was like,
robot, yeah.
My connection's skyrocketing.
And step 4 will be. I don't want to necessarily phrase it as youth services,
Sorry about that.
but general. Oh, actually, let's just call it general education.
For some reason, it skyrockets a bit.
No, you've definitely been on Soho long enough. I don't know how much Aramaa would have hung out with the Jedi Service Corps before the war, but you've been in Soho living on the base long enough to. You probably know the company line to sell and basically be like Jedi Service Corps with our branches: Explore Corps, Med Corps, Edu Corps. Bringing the Republic to you.
General education and services via the Service Corps. That's what I'm gonna call it.
They'll teach you how to turn your lightsabers into plowshares.
This is why I record the chat now.
Yeah, there's some stuff going on in there. We're not really saying anything now, Ax, if you want to pop up on your mic and check.
Yeah, try.
I think I'm here. You can't be fine? Okay.
Yeah, you sound good.
I will say I did not
Hold
expect
on.
this entire episode just to become logistics now.
No, I was expecting it. Are you kidding?
I was expecting to maybe go, like, do some treasure hunting. But
That is true.
I kind of want to do that, but it's just me.
It's really Axe's connection is good, but he's quite loud to me. Hold on, let me dial that back.
Oh, I'm sorry. Like, I got a little excited, so my voice got louder.
No, it's fine. I also had you way up for some recent reason.
Is everything fine on my end at least?
I hear you fine. Yeah, you're coming in clear.
Okay.
All right, my connection just skyrocketed from what it was happening earlier.
My computer has a much better Wi-Fi thing, so
Maybe a puzzle was showing on the lines.
it's one of
Who
those
knows?
PCIe cards.
Nice.
For me, I think it's just the area I'm in. I moved back into my home, so I'm in a suburb now. So it's sometimes it might have fizzles sometimes.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I usually get big outages for that, but yeah. Anyway, okay.
Anyway,
I figured the logistics would be the front end of this. We're only at about an hour, and like I feel like the first 20 minutes of that was just me expositing.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I just feel awkward.
Maybe.
Like, man, I probably don't need to be here for this.
Hey, I don't know. Actually, this is a good question. What would I mean, you've got survival skills and stuff. Like not while Aramaa is like drafting her proposal. Though honestly, I gotta be real. I'm pretty sure because we said this is partially out of character. This is probably like several late nights, like sitting in your room or out on the balcony scribbling drafts, right? Like this.
I'm more meant
This
as
is
a
what you do in the
person, but yeah.
downtime. But in terms of actually making the proposal, it's entirely possible that you guys would have contributions And I don't know. If I'll throw a low pitch out there if anybody wants to get some like vignette time in. You know, this is the kind of thing where since you are the clone troopers Aramaa has to hand, and this happens all the fucking time in Clone Wars. One or more of your Jedi could just ask you how you guys feel about clones fighting and possibly dying in this canyon.
Right.
You know, if you wanted to get some vignette time in.
Yeah, that could be fine.
That's fair.
Sure.
I was more
Sure,
capable
listen.
of being like, Lucky's just good at doing logistics, and it's like I really have nothing to really add because I think he's got all the bases covered.
Yeah,
I
so
don't
like
think I
the
got all the
temp-
bases covered. Like honestly, I'm bouncing off a lot of what Omega's saying. Honestly,
right, the temporary landing.
enough.
That's what I'm here for.
The education, etc.
The player knowledge is not necessarily character knowledge, so I'm there to go like, well, based on your character, you would know this.
That's fair. I was also kind of just like dwelling on like,
oh no, we can still go do
would
treasure
Camo,
hunting.
I know it's more of like I was doing the dumping. Like, would Camo actually want to express he wants to do it? Because I kind of do. I'm not sure if he would. Is the thing. I don't think.
Well, you're mission oriented, but you are. This is what I was talking about earlier. Camo has fieldcraft skills, basically, right? Like you're an outdoorsy type guy. I don't know if treasure necessarily would appeal, but
It's more just like it's a cool
ye-
legend. It's,
as a character, you have definitely engaged in some dangerous behaviors to find stuff or do cool things.
I
Not
don't know if
necessarily
like
looking for literally a payday, but like I could see Camo being like, I want to actually take some time and explore these canyons and look for lost pirate treasure.
it's like hey, it's like why not? It's like I wonder
mean,
if it's like
it's like yeah, downtime. If you just want like, I'm not saying we all have to go together, but if you want you and Boots or maybe Wevuguk like while Aramaa's like fucking around doing stuff, you might. Yeah, I'm gonna go fucking scout the
Let's go.
canyon.
I mean,
look
you guys
around.
could. I don't want to distract too much from Lucky finishing his plan. We're getting close there, but
So, but just,
if
like,
you
thinking
guys
how we
wanted to
bridge
use
it.
some of the downtime before this to ask around, we could do that too.
We could probably do that once you get all like the meeting out of the way. Probably just so we don't like cut the flow
Well,
too
I mean,
hard.
it would be in front of the meeting. I don't know, but you'd
Yeah.
have. So you need to have a meeting where you propose these things. I would like
Mhm.
everybody to be reminded, including the audience. Just because you agree on something doesn't mean it happens right away, which I'm
Yes.
sure Lucky understands. But just to let everybody
yeah.
know, like even if you have your meeting and you knock everything out of the park, this is not like one of those crafting video games where you like push a button and like in 30 seconds they build a base.
I more meant the meeting involving people at Clifftop House and other things like that. But yeah.
I mean, that is that meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the big meeting that
Yeah, if you
Armaa's
remember,
taking notes for.
We're calling everyone to Clifftop House. Remember, our faction choice was Clifftop House. Remember?
Yeah.
Everybody's coming here. This is just basically, like I said, this was you guys. Nobody really had any questions about morning briefing, so it was like, okay, your meeting is tonight, and then Lucky was like, all right, let's do some planning.
All right.
Yeah. Like, I'm not gonna lie, there's a part of me that's like kind of thankful I don't have to do too much because, as I said, I just got a random phone call from a plumber that's coming over to check my toilet, so I might be on mute for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
you
I
got
said-
you got some stuff happening. That's fine.
I said, but
It's fine. I was worried to be like I just want to bring this up because it's like to have like some reaffirmation of like we should try to at least try the other thing to some degree once we get this out of the
Well,
way.
yeah, you don't know what's going on. We're in not time, right?
yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no time right now. It's not existing. This is all just out of character discussion, which I totally knew would be happening. When I brought this up, I was like, okay. Like, literally, if Lucky didn't start this, my next question would have been, okay, your meeting will start soon. What's your meeting plan?
Yeah.
My dumb thing is that I didn't, so that's just me. I didn't expect.
How
that, but I
many
have-
out of character discussion can you have in a stopped time?
Okay, I'm stretching.
Anyways,
Anyway, let's cycle back around to planning. So you've got your bulleted list.
Mhm.
Is there any further bullets or
Well, that's
any
all-
other like setup questions you want to ask?
Okay, so our bullet points are education, temporary landing pads, and then military presence.
Well, so basically, step one is landing space. Landing space with the parentheses of shuttle service. Basically, we want to set up some temporary or not temporary. We could make them permanent, just because we have. It is always good to have when it comes to transportation, redundancy is not bad. Like I said, different methods for different ways. The rail would be best for transporting lots of stuff, but for people who maybe want to get out here quickly or some sort of emergency, the maglev is going to be running on a fucking schedule. You just can't be like, oh, I gotta get there now. The maglev ain't gonna be here for like a fucking hour. You're like, well, I'm fucked. Good thing there's this fucking shuttle service. But
Yep.
the landing pad things is we need to start getting stuff out here immediately. So we want to set up quote unquote temporary ones so we can start moving stuff. And they'll probably still build permanent ones, but the main mode of transportation will be, if we get it off the ground, the mag rail system. And this leads into part 2 of a military post and presence. As Omega have said, this area has been the subject of enemy action. We now have intel that there is an enemy fortification out there. This place would probably benefit from having a military presence. Now, the problem of that is we're the fucking Republic and we care about our people. So we just can't be like, hey guys, guess what? Here's all these soldiers. They're here now. Bye. We actually want to work with them to understand how much of a present they want to do and like how much we can and find a good compromise. This is like how in More Iridu, Aramaa has to go like occasionally make public appearances and do handshake events and ribbon cuttings with the mayor as part of having political support.
Didn't that whole thing go badly?
No, it didn't go badly. I just I didn't get on that particular check. I just didn't get a super stellar, so I wasn't able to one-sidedly win the argument. Basically, basically I instead of him just being like, "Oh yeah, no, this is totally good for us. There is nothing we need to do." It's like
you had to give concessions on your
I had
end.
to give concessions, and my concessions were, as someone who's leading the urban renewal and all this infrastructure, I had to basically publicly support the mayor. So next time our elections come around. It's like, that guy got the support of the Jedi. I'm going to vote for him. That kind of thing. Okay. And then might be something like that here. It's like, maybe, I'll have to actually throw my weight behind, a big figure here. Which will probably be mostly Cliff Top House, because, as I said, faction choices. But, as I said, we got to find out, how much people are willing to give, how much it might cost to purchase land. Maybe they, maybe, we got to find out how much to actually adequately cover the canyon, to find out where we can go in the canyon so we don't disturb the soy verns and just have angry giant birds all the time, raptor birds.
It's and to your left, the soy vermin is attacking the train.
Don't worry, they do this all the time.
And
for years as we shoot the giant soundboard.
Like speaking of Soyvern, hecking Gunstar was talking about the Soyverns. While they are apex predators, they are part of the natural wildlife and part of the kind of the tourism. Like, hey, check it out, giant ass fucking birds. It's like going on a fucking African safari and you see a cheetah jump up onto your hood and you're like, oh. I actually did watch a video about that earlier, and people are like, no, it's fine, it's fine.
I'm pretty sure I was the one who posted that in general before I went to sleep.
Yeah. It was like one of the safari
things. Yeah, Clifftop House was mentioned as it started as a much more conventional resort town, but as she's been trying to bring it back up, Armanda Gunstar has introduced elements of extreme sports travel and wildlife tours.
Yeah. So if we're gonna be patrolling the canyons, we also need to negotiate of all right, how much presence we're gonna have there. Do we are we gonna start sticking fucking anti-fucking vehicle turrets on the top of fucking mesas and plateaus? All that kind of stuff. And once we got that figured out, this goes on to step 3 of urban renewal and transportation. We're going to be setting up a military presence here, which means we're going to need to be facilitating transportation of our own goods from Output Soholiv. This means that we are going to need a more stable transportation system, usually the best of which is a rail line. Because while shuttles and whatnot are quick, they're usually a little bit more limited on capacity and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a land speeder too, so it's not. But what's the? Actually, pull up a wiki. What's the the encumbrance capacity of like an AA5 speeder truck. Check. Or actually, I can probably cannon number on. They might have in the old lore have done enough to actually talk about its. Okay, yeah, they did actually. It's listed as its cargo capacity canonically was 25,000 kilos, which is
Math.
that's less than 30 U.S. tons.
Mm.
That's like good, but not great.
Yeah.
And that's the equivalent of like a space box truck.
Yeah, we get a maglev, we can basically run several of those in a line multiple times a day in a couple hours.
And another bullet point, which I didn't bring up earlier, but you also will be able to make, because you talked about some of the wildlife impact. Elevate, like for real railways, those can have environmental impact. For what you'd be doing an elevated rail. That's a lot less impactful than like building a highway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can build a line that runs well above the canopy line, basically, of Soholiv.
Yeah. And that'll be good for the Badlands, that'll be good for the Delta and the Parish. And that's that. This also, with the urban renewal and transportation, also comes with talks of the economic stimulus and disaster relief, which is, I'm pretty sure, what most of the people there are going to be gunning for. Basically, we're just going to be like, hey, so the Republic, we might have goofed a little bit. So here's some funds to be used appropriately. Because Aramaa might have learned a slight lesson about just willy-nilly dishing out economic stimulus plans in more Eridu. She had to bust up a fucking fighting ring because of it. And then it turned it around and made it industry, because that's how she do.
Yep.
More Eridu Sports Complex coming next 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
They'll have a grav ball team and everything. They'll be the Soholiv Soyverns. We've got the branding right now. There probably is because you said you were gonna turn it into like an entertainment complex, basically. Yeah. That there probably is some guy like in mid-level marketing right now being like, guys, grav ball team. Which I'm not particularly sure what sport grav ball is supposed to imitate. I think it's like soccer, basket, baseball, but
I don't know. It's space.
Spaceball.
Spaceball.
Yeah.
Spaceport ball. Now, and with all that, and finally enough, we will bring up, so people will have, what to do with their money. We'll bring up general education and service via the Jedi Service Corps, in which we are going to basically set up a small complex in which, on a rotation basis, we will have the Service Corps come out, teach, inspect, and survey and whatnot the area, and assist the locals with things that need to be done, including, youth education, and, medical services, all that good stuff. And
yeah, you have 4 branches, all of them, while your Explorer Corps guys might be a little, busy, because they're part of the active archaeological effort, but you've got 4 branches to the Service Corps. All of those things are useful on Outer Rim planets, training people for wilderness survival, exploration, surveying.
We'll be essentially setting up a community college.
Well, no, the community college is going to be here at Alpha Soholiv. Think of
this is very much more mission school type shit.
Yeah, this is almost, I almost want to say Sunday school, but it's not one day a week,
Yeah, but it's like that. It's like a mission school. You are the Jedi. You're technically a religion.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have, like I joked about Jedi school marms. You're gonna have, Jedis in tunics come out here and teach you about, again, probably skip some of the simple stuff like how to crop rotation and how to wash your hands, but those kinds of lessons. And then when. Well, I was going to say, and then either based on personal interest or probably a little bit of talent scouting, the kids who have actual the gumption to go farther with technical skills, you can send them up to an actual community college at the science base or in more Iridu.
Yeah.
And like I mean, actually, this is a good character question. Because right, like there are some spaces that are a little tight in the science base right now, etc. But the war's not going to go on forever. I don't know how much people would know about plans, but there's probably been like high level discussions to the Republic about like, there'll probably be a transitional period, but probably cashing out the clone troopers basically and retiring them. Like people, that's almost assuredly been a Senate discussion of, but what will we do with all these clone troopers? We'll pay their pensions and we'll let them go home. Heck, they're probably somebody's telling about, letting the clones like resettle the Outer Rim. But I don't know how far about that Aramaa would be thinking about like, oh well, it doesn't matter if we like invite all these kids to come stay in the science outpost. It won't be that many more years before there doesn't need to be a huge military base in the science outpost anymore. That's a character question you should think about if Aramaa is thinking about it like that, right? Because I could definitely see some of your allies in the service corps being like, oh, well, the war won't go on forever. You guys will get out of here.
So I'm actually like I'm trying to think like how far ahead Aramaa is thinking. Her first line of thought is she wants to leave this place a better place than it was when she got here.
Cool.
That's her first foremost thoughts.
I don't want to say that's because maybe the last place she was not a better place when she left, but I might say that.
Yeah. There might be some hangups, but as for the war ending, I don't know if actually Aramaa actually really necessarily thinks that the war will end. It's all she kind of knows. Really.
The war has been going on for at least a couple of years now, and there's definitely been a transition in the nature of the conflict.
Yeah.
The early war was very defensive. There was like big blobs of separatist troops were attacking major Republic outposts, or separatists were threatening to court major Republic allies, right? And then it kind of transitioned into maybe like a counterattacking period, and now you guys are getting close to the period which would be called the Outer Rim sieges, where basically like, okay, the only way we're going to win this is if we find where the enemy is holed up and start digging them out of there. So, again, that's a personal question if you think that will be... If you listen to Chancellor Palpatine, he'll give a rousing speech how it's only a matter of time to, root out the evil and whatnot, but you're on the ground.
I'm on the ground, and like as I said, like I won't say we're necessarily in a Cold War situation because we're still very hot, but at the same time we're not like, especially where we are not making constant decisive military actions.
You're in a little bit of a deadlock. You guys have been on Sohil of like 6 months. 6 months sounds about right. Yeah, because there would have been some off-screen pre-game months where nothing really was happening, but you guys have been on Sohil of like 6 months in a military campaign, and it has nothing decisive has happened. You have pushed back the front lines as far as you know, but you are not physically closer to ending the battle yet.
Yeah.
We're reaching the part of the narrative where it's becoming where we're just considering the future because we're about to hit like the big strides instead of like a lot of build up.
Well, like, and that's the thing. It's like, we know there's a separatist base out here, but as I said, they're not sending like waves upon waves of clones at us. Usually they do small strikes. We rebuff them, and then we deny them one of their assets. And, it's this big, kind of like it's a big teeter-totter of a situation. So it's like, it's something that honestly, like, on someone on the ground, and be like, this is the reason why Aramaa can just go on, like, no, we're gonna just go fuck off in the woods for like, a couple weeks. Nothing's gonna fucking happen.
No, because and I will say, you guys would. Well, I think there's two characters of thought. Your characters may think of this different ways. You guys are either good or lucky. Because I'll be real, you have had a series of fairly decisive victories with pretty minimal loss.
That is
There
true.
were some serious risk factors in a couple of your battles, and your enemy is certainly more underhanded, shall we say, than you are. They've had a lot more plans for traps, terror attacks, etc. But
It comes with having disposable army. Having a
you haven't
disposable
had any major civilian casualties. Like there's been some collateral, but it's been fairly contained. You have not had any blowout losses of clones. I think on screen our clone losses are like still in the single digits.
Yeah.
Not accounting for, occasional mass rough ups, but it's still, not severe losses. So you guys would either, the opinion of tactical experts would be you guys are either lucky or you're really good. Like, honestly, like maybe some of you should be serving on fronts elsewhere that are actually more tactically relevant, but reasons.
Yeah.
I am with Loth though, kind of half and half.
It's been a point where it's like, I think like as like our like latest mission, it's like, man, we pulled it off pretty well, but also damn, we were lucky in the second half there.
Yeah, no, like.
Oh yeah, no, that's why I'm saying like that's a character thing. Mechanically, it's much more little column A, column B, because you have the dice to account for, but also you have your own plans that you reinforce with dice, and dice are better if you're better at something. So you're out of character. Your characters are good at this, and you guys have had good fortune with the dice when it counts. But in character, when somebody's writing the book called the Sohiliv Campaign, right now the narrator would be like, everybody would say that Aramaa and the Swamp Dogs were either good or lucky. That kind of thing.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but yeah, so like honestly, Aramaa kind of feels like she want to get those damn dirty separatists, but at the same time, it's a very very weird sense of normalcy. How life is right now. It's not living under constant terror. It's not constant stress. It's like Aramaa was literally goes out and like basically in downtime she goes and mans the bars and doesn't think too much of it. So yeah, no. So I don't think Aramaa thinks the war is necessarily gonna end like soon, I guess I should say. So yeah, I'm sorry. I never really thought about that, so I had to go through like Aramaa's thought process.
I mean, if you wanted me to give you some, Narmada's warfare, but some of you guys might. If you wanted to do some like eyeball math based on your logistics at your current rate of quote unquote advance, you guys could easily be here for another 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
And that's just on Sohiliv, not the war ever, and also doesn't account for like partisan fighting, mop-up activities, enemy reinforcements, which is a thing you guys really haven't had to deal with yet.
There's a weird thing of like, or I guess just like to put it into perspective, like Arma was thinking of, it's like, Eric, this war isn't really going to end anytime soon, because no one's expecting that the entire war is just a big proxy war to go.
Well, and even then, actually knowing it's a giant smoke screen, right? You would argue that it would go on forever anyway.
True, yeah. Until everything is heavily united because of through force.
Even if obviously you guys would have different behavior if you knew about the whole conspiracy, which nobody does.
Yeah,
but if you even knowing that in retrospect, of course it makes sense that the war doesn't go anywhere. It's being played by both sides. It's intended to exhaust everybody's resources and create a clean slate.
So yeah, no. So Aramaa will probably not necessarily plan for the military presence having even leave. So she would probably just try to make everything as comfortable as she could for everyone involved.
All right.
So
okay.
It's like, yeah, no, they're gonna be here for a while, but while they're here, they'll help maintain public order. They'll help you find your lost dog. They're not gonna have that much better to do.
Like they're as much as bored as you are.
Pretty much.
Well, and that's part of the advantage of clone troopers over droids. Besides just the lateral thinking, organic thought processes, natural learning and all that, is the fact that clone troopers are dudes, and they can have these one-to-one human interactions. Sure, some of them are not people clones. they're not a people person, but you can build that individual rapport and that kind of community connection.
So yeah, we'll probably
And there have been cases even where clones have gone AWOL among the local population. You guys probably haven't had to deal with any desertion because your war weariness isn't high, and also Sohaliv kind of sucks.
There's nowhere really else to go.
They are actively part of the process that improves Sohaliv, and they get all the benefits anyway. There's no reason to go out on a day past to more Iridu and never come back, right?
I mean, like in inner rim stuff, it's probably easier, but
yeah, urban centers, but there's at least one episode of Clone Wars where a guy ditched his unit to
the
go.
guy who became a farmer.
Yeah, he ditched his unit to
Had a
go
family.
bang hot Twi'lek milfs
Had
in his
a-
area, and also become a space farmer. Which one of these things appealed to him more? We'll never know.
we don't really need to know.
All right. Well,
either way, he's doing some plowing. So,
but yeah, that is another detail. I'd be like, nah, your rate of desertion is probably basically non-existent because why would they, right?
well, again, like I said, we're in that deadlock of thing.
And in terms of generals, we've talked about this. Aramaa is not necessarily the best commander, but she has a particular idiosyncratic style that engenders the forces to her. And I think it's fair to say that before he left, Kavus was kind of treated as everybody's little brother. Wevu is a new element, but at the very least, I think Wevu's personality that we've seen in the few short weeks she's been on Sohaliv, these guys would probably think of her as more of a foil to Aramaa, whereas Aramaa is very
More loose. Wevu is more.
yes,
strict.
Wevu is more strict usually, but Aramaa is more sociable and business facing, right? Like you're harsh on them physically, but that's because you expect a lot and don't want them to get hurt, and you look out for their needs and stuff. Wevu is a more traditional commanding officer, but also has the military bearing, shall we say, to back it up. Like she has that strong warrior's mindset that I think even after just a few short weeks of being with some of these guys in the Swamp Dogs, they've been able to tell that you are a upfront fighter in a way that is different from I've always thought about Aramaa as that line from Code Geass: if the king doesn't go first, how can the people follow, right? Aramaa doesn't want to throw anybody into any situation she wouldn't tackle personally. Whereas tactically I could see Wevu doing that, but she doesn't because she's here to fight people.
Yeah. She would.
But all right, I was going to
fix
say that since
things,
Loth had to step out for a second, I think we've been going for about an hour 20 on the Raw. This might be a good place to pause for a second, take a break, and then when we come back, get
Alright.
into that actual meeting.
Pause.
Okay.
And we're rolling
Yay.
again.
Okay, so we slightly longer break than we anticipated. We did some character discussion stuff, but I don't think any of that has to get brought up on air right now. So do we want to actually get to your meeting?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's move.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go. All right. So, like I said, probably early afternoon. You guys congregate in the main building at Clifftop House. There's probably a big dining room / conference hall, basically. They probably rearrange a lot of tables and chairs for peoples. And kind of broadly, probably as you peek out for this town hall type meeting, you check the seating. You will notice that the people have probably self-organized into not like strict factional lines, but definitely like you see a lot of the there's probably a couple dozen major landowners from the Ibriski Delta region, right? So they're all kind of clustered up. You see another cluster of maybe a dozen or so representatives of Old Dog itself Then there's another like half a dozen representatives of the various mining towns and mine outfits in the canyons, etc. You see a handful of other people, lurking.
Mhm.
This is a good question. I don't think you would have any reason to think there's a security risk, but do you have any clone troopers out amongst working the crowd?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So there's probably another dozen or so clones. Some of which might actually be basically stripped down to like dress uniforms or at least are helmets off. Though you probably have.
We're not doing fucking we're not like waving over everyone with a metal detector and stuff, but they hear.
No. Though you probably keep a couple of, fully armored and dolled up guys. Actually, heck, that could just be Shark and Camo. They Shark is wearing his captain's variant armor.
Yeah.
Camo's back in his arc armor, so they look nice and professional.
Yes, they look special and threatening.
Just to flank you, to give you an air of authority.
Doesn't Shark also have, like, his helmet has painted
Both
like
guys
a clock
have-
teeth as
Yes,
well?
Shark has literally painted the
Yeah.
mouth guard
So
area of his armor with a shark face.
carrying like fancy blades on our waists.
Remember his introduction lines? I'm always smiling.
Yes.
It's like he's also got like his special version. The
Yes,
shark
he's
thing.
stolen a BX Commando Vibro sword and he's wearing it over one shoulder, which are, if in case you guys forgot, are very almost cutlass-like. They're like big, broad, curved blades.
Yeah, and it's like Cam's got the best cats. It's like we both have like two like high-ranking dudes of swords. It's like it's fun to image it.
Oh, those assholes.
Yeah, I don't think this appears to just be them with rifles. They're very jumpy though.
Yeah, you've shown that a lot actually.
Well, I only have so many gifts to use.
Yeah, there's not many
Yeah.
left. There's not many gifts of those.
No, I meant like in game.
Well, you guys experienced a certain amount of agita when they appeared, so when the players bite on a particularly interesting enemy, you don't let it go.
I need to save this one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That doesn't
What?
compute.
That doesn't compute.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, the
Interesting
fucking droids
enemies,
dancing
huh?
as well.
Lego droid dancing. Pop that. But okay, so so like I said, you see those groups, you see some clones kind of standing around offering support. Armanda herself is definitely like lurking near the stage, not on it fully, but like standing by, talking to people, shaking hands, etc. You probably see a couple of staff members, running around. You might even see, some other personnel, like not necessarily community leaders, but what would you say? Like, you probably see some like skilled professionals, like maybe there's a couple of like town doctors who showed up to see what was going on, or that one guy who owns a used ships and speeders lot in Old Dog is here, as a businessman kind of a thing.
Well, I said so.
So there's
open to the
some-
public.
Yeah, there's some business interests, government interests. Like again, scattered throughout the crowd, there's probably like half a dozen Sohaliv marshals, right? Which I'm pretty sure their official is they have a badge.
We have a bad. We be here. All right, let everyone get in, get settled. I will stand stoically and I guess stoically is fine. Confidently.
Yep.
I am a rock.
Wevuguk has said that she will be assisting in security, so she's probably out amongst the crowd, patrolling, wandering, double checking stuff.
Boots will be off
again,
to
you
the side.
You don't have any reason to think this is a like serious. There's no security security threat here, but
it's not like
Like I
heightened
said, I'm not
security. It's
expecting
more
Separatist
like
Spies to jump
loose.
on be like surprise.
hold
Because
on.
I-
Just
I was a
gotta
droid,
rewrite
Roger,
my
Roger.
notes. No. I
But we
already
don't
have
realize
ideas
it's
for plot
better.
stuff.
what we don't realize is that what was the name of it? One of those hyena dropship droids has just infiltrated.
You thought he was crushed, but the sixth vulture droid is here. He's just glued a
Yeah.
little. He's just stuck via magnets a little hat and mustache on him.
Wait, no, it's 3 buzz droids in a trench coat.
It's like, excuse me, sir, can I get you anything to drink?
I
Very
mean,
well,
so it
sir.
didn't come out, and I don't think it makes sense because you guys eliminated quite a lot of them. I think there was like a dozen BX Commando droids you guys have killed, which is quite a few. But one of the features those guys have is that they can copy enemy voices and take armor.
Oh.
So there was a thought that they might mug some clones for their armor and cause trouble, but I think we're past that step. Anyway, so basically after the usual 50 to 20 minutes of walla 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 walla.
Yes. Yes.
Of the usual walla walla and like people folding in and kind of nodding. Armando probably maybe not the most gracefully kind of just hops up on stage and sidles over to you. You have a collar amp, right?
Yes.
I don't think there's a mic set up in here otherwise, so
Mhm.
that's good. You can project. But she would basically kind of approach the bench, as it were,
Mhm.
and kind of pop up on the stage and be like, "All right, well, I think everybody's here. Who's coming?
Mhm.
I don't got any more guys ferrying in. We got everybody here. So however you want to start, I guess."
Now, I'll thank her, and I will take the stage. My Jedi robes will billow dramatically.
Somebody found a big flag with a seal of the Republic to display behind you.
Exactly. Is there a flag of Soholiv?
Yeah, I was actually thinking that there probably are much like how you have state flags and stuff. There's probably like a coat of arms or flag for Soholiv.
Yeah, then we're gonna do the classic flag of Republic, flag of Soholiv, crossed behind me.
Yep.
And I will start things with introductions, ladies and gentlemen. I am General Aramaa of the Grand Republic Army, serving here on this planet of Soholiv. And I won't do actual full-on speeches, but I'll get into the gist of things. And first off, explain to them that I do apologize for this sudden meeting, but there's come up several things that I think people need to be aware of. And I will explain about the recent separatist action and outcome. Basically, that we came initially to investigate separatist activity and said bombings. We did, in fact, discover separatist activity and bombing, and we dealt with it. So, accordingly.
So there's probably the usual shocked gasps when you talk about it actually happening, but then you immediately pivot right into no, we took care of it. It's fine.
It's fine. Like I said, there was aside from in the actual engagement, aside from one from particular location, damage was kept to a minimum. Such not, I would like to extend my deepest thanks and gratitude to insert old dog mayor here. I can't remember. Nietzsche. And Lady Gunstar for services.
Armando tips her hat to you.
Mm-hmm. But now that we find ourselves in the aftermath, I have realized that there have been certain things that should be taken care of, and like I said, such things cannot be done without the input of all of you. So, do we have projector screens?
I mean, yeah, no, you have. I think you do everything via holograms, either projectors or holotanks. So yeah, you've probably got you've got the hologram equivalent of like a high school projector in here to actually show images in 3D to the crowd.
Yeah. So pop up a map of Soholiv and the locations of known parishes and whatnot, and just be like, so as of this moment, go into detail. We'll explain about how as of this moment, most of Sokolov military force concentration is down here. And
You put like a heat map graph
Yeah.
so that like around the science base it's like really red and then it kind of fades.
And well, recent activities realize that the separatists will not be maybe focused firing on more Iridans and the outpost base, and there might be other casualties. So we have realize that there needs to be a increase of military presence. Then like I'll like highlight the parish and the delta. Seeing as this is one of the more well-developed areas on Soliv, it makes sense that we would then expand our military influence to this area here. Now ship turns that back to the crown now with basically actually I'm just gonna fucking speech it. I was gonna try and just do cliff points, but I can't.
Go for it.
So now while I realize that for some people this might be too little too late, I do apologize for that. Bow of the head. But from here on we must look to the future. So what I would like to discuss with all of you is the establishment of a military command post in the area. For such purposes as patrols, security, reconnaissance, surveys, all such things as that.
Yeah, basically, like at the moment, there's just the usual polite murmurings as you speak.
Where this will be necessarily potentially set up, well, that is the matter of discussion today. The Grand Republic Army, we have many ways of setting up a base. We have modular units that we can just deploy, set up, and have running in a matter of days. Usually can be set up in any clear space. Like I said, I would like to talk with with mayors or landowners at a later date and see if anyone would be willing to volunteer space for such a thing, or we can maybe reach some sort of business arrangement. But before all that, I need to get a gauge of the people and how much military presence do you wish to see. Over in, for example, in More Iridu, we have what I would call a medium level of security, meaning that we have checkpoints at major intersections. We have security patrols very frequently, and basically armed patrols inside and outside of urban centers. We do not enforce.
You also, would you mention that because you guys did go that extra mile for that the tactical sensor system?
Oh yes, and we basically have a 24-hour monitoring system that covers a very, very wide. We do not necessarily hamper people's freedoms. We do not enforce curfews. We do not dictate business times or where people can necessarily go. But the army presence is noticeable and is a fact of everyday life. In More Iridu specifically, we have offset this by setting up a local militia, which has slowly been spreading out in More Iridus and the surrounding parishes and towns. So people still feel that, their security is in their hands, as one should. But it does, for some, make the presence of letting people know that the war is here. So for the first point of business, I would like to ask any of you. I would like to open the table for discussion of the level of military presence you would be comfortable with in the area. And then, pointedly look out at anyone speak.
All right, so I will kind of summarize for them, but you hear a couple of it doesn't turn into a shouting match, but there's definitely several people in several clusters, several camps. As I said, they kind of self-segregated. Some people do start kind of speaking up loud enough since they are not provided with collar imps on their own. They will start speaking up loud enough to be heard over the group. So the general gist you get is, so there's I would say there's probably across all the groups, there's probably a triangle of opinions.
Okay.
More pronounced but not exclusive to the plantation owners who were the most directly affected by this attack. There is a big cry for security. There's a little bit of like, you owned up to it, so, and I won't make you roll necessarily for how well your speech is right now, because you're not. I could have you like roll for first impressions or whatever, but I think we'll save the rolling dice for when if and when you need to push a point. But you kind of apologized for it being a little late, right? And they didn't know it was a separatist attack either. So while there's a little bit of like, how could you not know the enemy was here at our doorstep kind of stuff, there's definitely especially from plantation owners, there's a faction that leans towards more security. They're like, the fields are our livelihoods. We got to be able to protect ourselves. This is more common from the working class canyon folk. There's a second side that is like almost a little, and you've seen some of this from other people. There's a little bit of resentment towards the urbane capital life. Oh, we don't need any of that fancy pants sensors and checkpointing and whatever. If it's we don't need to be coddled like those capital folk.
By the way, actually, I'm probably gonna slam them to this point later, if it is. But when you mentioned that their target was gonna be the hydroelectric dam, do we know that in character as well from like the data from the droid, or is that?
Hey, Boots, make me an average knowledge of warfare check really easy. Or Aramaa could make this untrained as well, but
no, I want Boots to
Boots might actually be able to brain this. Because you guys you did interrupt their activity, and you guys have been trying. Yeah, no. I mean, after studying the tactical plans, Boots could probably guess that because the enemy warned you off after, they were probably going to try and do something nasty, which could have included major infrastructure strikes. However, I do want to say the more working class, like a lot of the canyon folk, though, are much more interested in the militia aspects you brought up. They're kind of like, well, if those city folk can do it, we could do it better, We don't need troopers to watch our lands, we'll watch our own, kind of a thing. And then there's a middle ground, a kind of undecided party, as you might expect in this kind of situation, who are, some of them are just Polacks that like the war is right here, right?
Yeah.
Others like just have no, like they've dealt with bandits and wildlife. They just have no concept though of like military campaigns and what you're talking about. But in general, there is a neutral quality who they don't know what they get out of either opinion. So at this point, I would say, after having covered all that, there's basically like, you've realized there's a little bit of a deadlock in the argument. Both of the two corners of the triangle that are leaning strongly one way or the other are trying to convince the middle guys, and they're not necessarily coming to a compromise.
All right. Well, with this, Aramaa would like to provide some additional information. That basically, a few nights ago, the clone forces had to scramble. She will pull up images of, the Firestorm?
Yeah, Firestorm unit.
The Firestorm unit, and then start like showing like specs on some of the munitions.
Yeah, you have this has been 3 days. You have some very lovely your guys back at the base have literally taken apart this bomber. You have some very lovely high-res photos of this in addition to all of your blurry Bigfoot UFO photos at night.
And explain about like some of the munitions and whatnot, and the potential damages that it could have caused if the clone army hadn't scrambled, mil-spec fighters to deal with it.
There's probably a couple of the landowners who are like, that's what happened to old Bob Jim's farm. It's all gone now.
She will mention that while while militia forces are great for dealing with small and local threats, they are not entirely suited for dealing with such things as bombers, flying capacities, and troops en masse. Militia efforts are usually used to help protect public order in states of emergency. Help with civilians, batten down shenanigans, like focused on defensive points and whatnot.
Which I do believe is actually, because you've been running militia training for a while, is actually what your training program looks like. Is it's advanced squad self-defense, basically, like teaching people how to look out for themselves in a combat situation in a group, not just individually. And then it's most of your training has been focused on emergency response, disaster relief type stuff. Hey, somebody is attacking more Iridu. What do? Here's how you evacuate civilians, build choke points, but don't get in trouble, basically.
Yeah. And focus that. And she'll probably ask she'll ask some pointed questions to the resentment group of how they would dealt with a armored flying carrier that they could barely see, and wait for some responses.
I mean, so there's probably a mix of pushback. Some of it's half-hearted. Some of them are more practical, right? They're a lot of them are workers, so they understand. Some of them are definitely like, oh, we're and I would say they have a solid basis for argument, whether or not you want to try and reverse it. But some of them are just like, we're embedded in the up in the canyons and stuff. I guess they could blow up the whole dang canyon, but we some of them have the. It's a little selfish, but it's the don't mind me, like they're not afraid because they're under girders and worms, basically. Like they're dug into the canyons and mines and stuff, and they're above flood levels. They don't have to worry about any bitch. Those people then also get some resentment from the neighbors who are like, sir, I run a I'll represent Canyon Fork Y. We run a filtration plant. If they blow up a dam and flood the river, I'll be neck deep in salt water and mud sharks. All right, so they probably argue a little back and forth internally before
I'll wake up in bed with a mud shark.
So I would like to then point out that this isn't necessarily someone where everyone can just mind their own business. If something happens to your neighbor 2 fields down, and then the next night something happens to your neighbor the next field over, you can pretty much go for that something's going to happen to you eventually. Just because they don't have the capability now, or maybe you're not worth the trouble, does not mean that you don't think that you're worth the trouble. Doesn't mean that they're going to let you get away.
Go ahead and make me then a double checking my chart. Let's call this a hard persuasion charm check. Persuasion, that's right.
Hard. So
for a decently sized groups.
Wumba. Then a lot of pho. Any boost or setback?
Do you have sense emotions?
Yes. So I have 1
Okay,
boost.
pretty sure that pops.
That's 1.
There is no inherent booster setback right now, because you're not necessarily making any direct appeals to their motivations, but you're also not going against any of their belief systems.
You do okay, never mind.
Yeah, you're just
Get the forceless, yeah.
Then let's go with 2 success. Let's pop those 2 lights and 2 success, make it 3 success, 2 advantage.
Okay. All right. Okay, so.
So I think advantage means I convince more people, right?
Yes, advantage is good for hitting larger groups.
Yeah,
and being more thorough. All right, so yeah, you basically make your persuasive argument. We're all in this together, right? And you explain. Listen, we're okay with you guys building a militia to take care of small stuff. And it depends on how much you want to tell them, because you guys have encountered mercenaries, partisans, criminals, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I will tell you now, because you rolled a good check, you're not going to panic them, but would you let them know about the fact that you guys have seen the enemy do some underhanded things, right?
Oh,
as
like
part of your
honestly,
argument.
honestly, the fucking field, the fucking fields and what the land, the plantation owners probably feel this more strongly than this. But yeah, I'll let them know about. Oh man, what have they done? Hiring mercenaries multiple times.
Yep.
The sub attack, the chemical attack. Oh yeah, I'll tell them about the chemical attack on Morioridu that we stopped.
Yeah, so they've made terror attacks and like this in the capital, and they've
Sabotage droids.
which also, by the way, and you could mention if you're trying, the militia did help you during the terrorism crisis. They actually they did not actively engage the enemy, but they helped like lock down streets, corral people, that kind of stuff.
Yes.
But you let them know that, like, listen, the militia are very responsive for some things, but this is a military threat. You need military force to deal with. So, with your role, you have opened them up to the possibility of accepting support.
Okay. That's good.
And basically, now that you've got 2/3 of the triangle, the third angle are the non-committed. They'll be like, well, if everybody will go for it, and I would say that third block is probably mostly, like I said, the professional groups and stuff. Probably even some of the law enforcement, like they're just mostly out of their depth, but they're here because it's their lives and livelihood on the line too. So, you still have they're all convinced to compromise, basically, right? But I think I would say you have an opportunity to shape this compromise, or you can let me probably randomly figure out how they decided to do the compromise of
how much.
Yeah, so the at this moment, the plantation owners they're big landowners, like, right? Like, these are the kind of people who love to see, cop cars go down their street, kind of a thing, right? Like, and they're affluent, so they're not afraid to pay to, like, there's at least one guy who you probably have to be like, sir, that's not practical. We can't build that many. Who's like, I've seen your fighter tanks. I want one on my lawn and my neighbor's lawn and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, sir, we can't do that. We can't build them fast enough. They're very expensive. They're very nice. But, like, there are some of them who would put up with that, right? Like,
no.
The canyon folk and a lot of the other working class in other areas are definitely leaning more towards militia support. Like, they wouldn't mind getting maybe some funding or at least some official sanctioning to organize on their own. But they probably, what they're talking about in terms of military support, are leaning more towards, like, well, we could, help you figure out some patrol routes, and, like, they're up for much more loose, I should say, coverage. Like, the plantation owners want obvious round the clock coverage. Whereas the canyon folk are like, well, I mean, they're helping us out. We wouldn't mind if we saw, a squad of clone troopers roll through. We could help, teach them the canyon and stuff like that. So, how far in a direction do you want to go, knowing your own limitations? Because you're kind of running the table right now with that decent social check. So.
First things first. We'll set down. I want to set down a military outpost and a.
Yeah, I think with a successful check, I will say that's a given.
Probably not.
Actually, yeah. Here, hold on. Let's put it this way. So part of the compromise is where does the command post go? I would say. So again, this is a little bit you're playing the politics game, right?
Yeah.
And other players and player characters, feel free to weigh in on this point. But I would say 2/3 of the triangle, the middle field, and, like I said, the working class guys, they definitely are like, no, you should optimize this. They think that you should mount the command post either, like, Old Doc's got some old industrial buildings that aren't being used right now. You guys should, do like you did in Morioridu and clear out some space, or even could probably arrange some, some mines that have been worked out, or some other, like, maybe some plateaus that don't have any natural resources in the canyon area for, like, good altitude and coverage. The plantation owners are like, whoa, no. Bring it closer to our farms and plantations and our ranches. Like, some of them are even like, oh, Old Dog's too far. You should, set up on the coast so you can intercept the enemy, kind of a thing. So keep that in mind with your thoughts.
And
I get what they want with putting it on the coast, but ideally, even if we do leave, we want to leave behind maybe some infrastructure if they want to have their own set up their own guard post, so that we've laid the groundwork, but they can just build off of that. So having it just on the coast to protect against separatist attacks may not be useful in the long run if we have it set up somewhere in like between Old Town and the plantations. Might be a better spot because then they can reach both.
Well, like I said, here the thing about the command post is it's basically just it's the center point. Basically, wherever we place it, that's where the center of the military presence is. From there, it spreads out, and probably as as the heat map is, slowly gets cooler and cooler and cooler. So,
it sets your effective radius of military operations from the command post. So that's where you'll barrack troops and stuff. And you can think about team comp basically here, right? So doing it in Old Dog would give you more space. You could probably set up with more landing pads, right? More bigger vehicles. Like you could set up a larger motor pool or garage for like actually get some fighter tanks or some walkers in here. They're not fast, but they are a presence. And you guys have seen very well that ATTEs traverse the canyons pretty good.
Yep.
Whereas if you set it up high, you could go for like some hangars or smaller motor pool space and focus more on like swoop bike recon, because you've got your own like specialized military swoops or bikes, which are lighter and less infrastructure intensive. You could even, that would probably require additional construction, but you could even go full on for like an airbase, right? Actually dock fighters here, because you've still got some surplus crappy fighters, that are not fully rotated out of the Soholiv garrison. So you got forces you could put out here.
This is actually a choice. I'm not entirely sure which one I want to do.
But yeah, so this is, and this I think will help this is part of, shaping your stuff. I would say if you want to try and, because the Delta people, landowners, farmers, etc., they're producers, they're leaning heavily on, right now their concern is security first and foremost, and that feeling of security theater. They feel attacked right now. They want to feel safe. The Canyon folk feel suspicion and paranoia. They want not necessarily security, more like they want comfort. Like they want knowledge, especially now that you convinced them. They want to know what's happening and know that they can help and you can help them. They don't actually care if they see it. They're just confident with the fact that it exists and it will do something. They are very pragmatic, because their response is like, oh shit, there was a base hiding among us this whole time, kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
And the neutral party are really more at this point, they want just something to be done. Though if I had to say, again, professionals and skilled workers are probably leaning more towards the pragmatic.
Yeah. Well,
to assuage that, because that's what I started by saying the sentence as. Haha, I remember what I was saying. To assuage the fears of the landowner types, if you went for the like high mesa aerial patrols, you could actually probably convince them without the need to make another roll that like, no, you don't understand. Okay, yes, walkers and tanks, big scary vehicles, they're not fast. We could actually get, units on bikes or even fighters out to your lands much faster that way. Sell them on the old response time.
Honestly, if we set up in the canyon, and again, we can. What were the fucking cliff striders called again?
The Conda teams, yeah.
Conda teams. We could use those for like the actual canyons and actually put swoop bikes out further, along with probably regular air patrols. Yeah. No. Okay. Yeah.
This is a dumb question, but I assume there isn't any like actual like land surrounding, not near the canyon, but like near the farmlands that isn't being always used.
I mean, there are certainly probably fields that have gone, what's the word for it? It's not fallow. Fallow is the good kind, but there have been like fields that have maybe been worked out. There have been, tectonic or water table shifts where like some areas have become more wet or less wet, and so not suitable to certain crops. there are also a lot of these guys got in on their lands when they were cheap, right? There are some farms and plantations that are not over budget, I'd say, but like they could, sell off a couple hectares, a couple square acres, and still make more than enough to feed themselves without the additional profit, right? So yeah, there are flatlands. I will tell you, however, that's all Delta land. That's like the area around the science outpost Soholiv, which is like mud dunes, shallow rivers, swamp grass, and light scrub kind of stuff, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, I think
so-
I'll go for the canyon out.
You're gonna charter Effiana Canyon Air Base.
Yeah. And I will try and push. I'll try and push.
I didn't even spell that right.
I think you did.
No, there's two. Did I put two A's in there? No. There's an A at the end. That's what I picked up.
Ah. Yeah. Like I said, this will the air base will be, will be more rapid response. Will be more rapid response action, and so if something happens, we'll see it and be able to deal with it quickly. Just means necessarily we won't be able to bring as. I guess the output is we will be able to get there quickly. We just won't be able to, overwhelmingly bring down firepower to bear. Mostly, I guess that's
Your
the trade.
force projection is smaller but faster.
Yes. So
And
I'll try to.
yeah. Okay. Again, like I said, you rolled. What did you say? You wanted to go for like 3 total advantage on that check?
Yes.
I think, yeah, with like 2 successes. Yeah, no need for a second check. You basically shape the compromise to be like, in my professional military opinion, blah, blah, blah. Boots is standing right there to give you his ideas because he's kind of your pocket tactician right now.
Yes.
You confer with maybe you take a moment to huddle with your men while they're discussing. And basically they're like, they all come to the conclusion, yeah, they'll take a high up base in the canyon. This is probably a minor role playing point. I won't get into the specifics of, how the budgety whatevers will like this, but after they come to a compromise, there's probably another 5 to 10 minutes of discussing the best locations. Maps are pulled up, both on holograms and physical. There's some chatting back and forth. There's a couple of good-natured ribbing from all sides from everybody when people say something silly, but ultimately it comes to, and yeah, Discord's being weird about images right now.
Oh.
I think our image service is being a little, because I got no preview.
I've
on
been getting
what
that too.
was.
Yeah, it's been
God
like
damn
that
it,
for
oh.
even.
It's
even
not related. It just made me laugh.
E.
So don't worry.
But okay. And basically they pick, maybe like, oh, here's a little canyon fork here up in the highlands. There's some decent mesas up here that don't go anywhere. There were a couple of lookouts, but you could probably there's like a waterfall or something, a river flow. You could probably, bridge to build a new hydroelectric that's not going to fuck anybody over downstream. So steady power, decent amount of flat land for landing pads and services, but also, access and stuff. And again, you can kind of like role playing, lightly figure out, but don't need to go whole hog. There's a brief conversation between some of the actual business owners who run some of these things, because a lot of the mines are like worker coalitions. Basically, they're like owned by the workers because that's just the way things are out here. But there are a few who are like franchises almost, or some people who actually have, much like the owners of the farms and plantations, who have bought up a lot of land rights. There's some, I bought up a lot of mineral rights in there. Those guys basically come together and they're like, they immediately offer to like cede control of the land to you like right away. And we'll buy off any there's a term for this, but I can't think of right now. Sorry, we've been going for a while. I'm a little sleepo.
I kind of hope we might have to go longer because actually.
We will probably because we're doing a lot of talking and it's not high energy, but sometimes words escape me. There's a word for basically like in your construction efforts, if there's any like extra shit you need to take away, like stone, metal, whatever, they'll buy it off you. Yeah, not quite, but that kind of stuff. Like, you know, if you had to like dig a hole, somebody disposes of the dirt, right? They're like, we'll buy any like spare, you know, side product of the construction off you at cost or whatever.
Yeah, the excess. Okay. We'll do that. We'll mention so we basically got a point. We got the. Let me pull my notes again here. So we got the post and presence, and so we'll go into making actually, since that we know a place, we're gonna have to start bringing materials. So Aramaa will wrangles everyone's attention again. You know, thank them for their thank them for, you know, coming into an agreement, and then move on to the next part of, in order to do this construction, though, we need to start funneling materials in, which means we will need to make landing space landing spaces, and start talking about how there would be a plan to maybe set up it's not a spaceport, but I guess a fucking airport, I guess.
Yeah, you'd probably still call it like an airport.
Astroport.
Nah, it's still space.
Oh, okay.
Like if it's got a fancy name, it would probably be Speederport, but yeah, an airport basically.
Yeah, an airport. And then go start talking about the urban renewal and transportation plans.
Here's a weird thought, but maybe like I guess there's also like you could start like thinking about some plans if like ever things could be done with the other continent once that's sorted out.
Well, like I said, when we get there, like
fair enough.
This is the thing.
Future me problems.
Yeah. I can only solve the problems I know about.
I mean, if you make an airport, it makes it easier to like do stuff with the
Yeah,
other
I know,
continent.
but I don't know. Like, I don't know what the settlement situation is on the other continent. I know that the separatist base is there, but they could have literally just plopped down a building on a mesa and it could be uninhabited for all we fucking know.
I can actually tell you because I think it's come up. Most of Soholiv's colonial efforts are focused on this continent.
Mhm.
And there's a couple of other ones. Your new corporate complex, right? The back to place you took over.
Mhm.
That is on the other continent, or technically maybe like a third one, but that's much farther south of the region you guys think it is.
Mhm.
The alternate continent that the separatists are on, in my mind, has always been. The land has been a little more high altitude and a little more solid, but a lot more uneven. It's not entirely like as broken as the Nuzana Badlands are, right?
Mhm.
But like overall, it's got a lot more like ups and downs and even larger like plateau areas that
Might
have just
be
not been appealing to settle in because that's, you know, Soliv settlers are mostly classical homesteaders. They are looking for lands where they can like grow crops or spread out animals, etc.
Polar Vault closer.
Polar Vault is straight north of you.
Oh, okay.
Which again, I don't even know if I would call the polar regions of Soholiv a continent, but there are
It's kind of plateau.
very small ice caps and cold areas to
Okay.
Soholiv.
And yeah, so talking about airport locations, I basically recommend that we place an airport in the busiest economic center, which would probably be Old Dog-ish.
I mean, they did just volunteer that they could clear land at Old Dog for a military base. You could just say, well, can you clear that for an airport?
Mm-hmm.
Because there probably is. This is Star Wars, right? Like, there's probably generic landing pads, but you're talking about an actual port, probably building a new port authority. You know, the whole works.
Yeah. And this is something that the Republic would probably be able to provide a bit of startup funds, but it may see an increase in taxes, I guess. But
yeah, because like I said, you'd have to they would need government employees now,
Yeah.
right? Port authority,
Mhm.
customs officials.
Mhm.
There would be inspections of standards because you're, doing more stuff.
but due to recent events in the area, that this area will be subject to available for economic stimulus and disaster relief grants in the area, which both landowners and business owners can apply for, and some and can also be used to start the construction of the landing ports. Now, in order to facilitate things, recently been in talks about maybe constructing a railway from here to Moriridou. And Aramaa will, show on her map the projected rail line of it, like going down, like through the Badlands, past big hills, through like this. As like she will make sure it is known that this is not a quick project by any means.
Yeah,
this sort of project will come after the military base, come after the landing. Well, first it's the landing pads. First, after the landing pad, after the military outpost, after the
So I have updated your map with the projected location of the Canyon Air Base up there and rough location of Old Dog.
And stuff. And we still have to get into talks with the
you gotta into talks. Well, you talk about the need for an airport to bring in supplies, and that will actually turning it into a proper port that everybody can use will probably require them to hike their taxes a little bit. But you have development and disaster relief funds available for them.
Yes.
Which could in turn turn into your new plan for the Trans-Sohaliv Railway.
Yes.
Okay. So this is interesting. You don't need to make any check on the railway, honestly. Like a lot of people, like Armanda, for instance, seems very excited about the idea of like, even if it's only to Old Dog, like bringing in tourists by the train car full, basically. You've seen her brochures and her marketing. She could absolutely like run some hollow commercials in the train station, right? You know, like how the moment you get off the airport in Orlando, it's like, why aren't you in Disney World? Same on the highway too. If you go anywhere in Central Florida on a highway, there's a fucking billboard that is like, turn off here to hit Disney World or Universal Studios.
Yep.
So that doesn't need any persuasion, right? That's a distance problem. That's going to be a later you problem to like talk everybody into agreeing on this project and when and where it will go. The thing you're going to have to make, and I'm actually double checking my notes because there's quite a few of these people. This is a daunting check, but I will allow you to make leadership or charm. Is basically the moment you start talking about the relief funds, there's a lot of rabble rousing and like, I got to get mine, like people arguing who needs it more. Like, again, while they are wealthier, the people of the Delta have a much more direct concern. Hey, it was our farms who got bombed. You know, we need money or manpower to like fill in holes, replace lost, gains, pay for crop losses, stuff like that, field repairs. But the Canyon folk and some of the professional folk have a more direct appeal in that they are economically the less off, and like they got hit a little harder by the crime problem that got resolved a few years back, right? They've never really recovered out of their economic slump. They say that they and Old Dog probably need to fill in more to like bring everything up to snuff and actually emphasize this project of yours. So
yeah, I'd actually probably side with the Canyon folk on this one. Bring everyone up to a solid.
Well, and I mean you would still probably have some of your disaster relief money earmarked for people, but like this is, you need to like control the crowd and be like, okay, listen, everybody, you're all gonna get what you're due, and then you're gonna throw in a little English like there. But I agree, the people in the Efiana region need the economic stimulus more.
All right, but I am going to spend a destiny
Go
point.
ahead, and because you did so good last time, go ahead and add a boost die to your check for this.
Yay! I'm also spending a destiny point just be.
All right, fair enough.
Do it.
We have a decent spread.
Yellow, green.
Which skill are you using for this, by the way, actually?
Leadership, actually.
Okay. Fair enough. I just wanted to check. You might get different responses at for different skills.
Like I said, before it was persuasion, now it's like I am taking control of this room.
And honestly, if you wanted, you probably could have made an argument for negotiation, but I like leadership as just like, everybody, calm down.
You said daunting, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm using the slightly adjusted social check rules from Genesis, where large groups of people, 16 plus, 16 to 50 technically is daunting, and 50 plus is like formidable. There's not that many people here, but there's a decent chunk of people here. Ooh, that was almost bad.
That was almost bad, but thanks, light side points. So, yeah, I'll spend all 4 of those light side points to go 3-3 with my triumph.
Okay, all right. So, with 3 advantages, you managed to at least get everybody to stop yelling about it, right? Like some people are probably still thinking to themselves, "Oh, but I got to get mine," you know. I'll get mine, kind of a thing. But you smooth over any direct conflict. Get everybody to calm down. Get them to kind of unite under the idea, right? Of, nah, you know, you guys need to come together. And I do actually think that, like, you know, the canyon needs to recover first. But with a triumph, we'll get you a little narrative extra spice in there.
Spice.
Where old man Nietzsche kind of, you know, clunk clunk. He's got a walking stick. He kind of clunks it on the side of his table, and he's like, well, I've done a lot for old dog in these years. Many of you have bought your lands from me in there, and you know how it is. I'll say it right now. I'll back the Republic and this Jedi credit for credit in building an airport.
Oh.
And I, much like my associates to the north, I believe we can come to a fair. He kind of smiles. You know, he's missing some of his teeth. A fair and balanced, eminent domain compensation for some of the lands in Old Dog.
Oh.
I've got all my deeds right here. I can tell you what districts I can sell to you today for an appropriate cost. With obviously he's smiling big. You've talked to him before. You can tell he's, by cost he means cheap. Like, unlike the airbase lands, he's probably right that you can't just take the land from him, but he can sell it to you for like cheaper than he knows he could get out of the people here. But so he kind of volunteers to smooth this over. And yeah, you got to triumph with a lot of success. And he says, and when you talk to those smooth-talking capital folk about that railroad, you tell them old Nietzsche's behind it 100%.
Oh.
So basically, you know, you get everybody to calm down and smooth over, and Nietzsche comes in and is like, all right, I understand what you're doing here. I got you.
All right, cool.
So he'll back your play, basically.
Nice. All right, cool. All right, cool.
And yeah, and I don't think there's any points of clarification. Once you've calmed everybody down and Nietzsche's made his agreement, you know, off camera, as it were, we can probably, like, he can tell you what districts would be best to be like, oh, nobody uses those warehouses anymore, etc.
All right, and I will, at this point, go into all the good stuff that will happen from this, and like boons in economy and in tourism. That means even though the taxes will be a bit higher for this, you should expect profit stonk gains, whatnot. And then I'll move into the next point is that because of, you know, how things are here and how things are changing, we should definitely be looking to the future generations as well. Like, I know that several people here have kids who might have a bit more time than sense, if I'm going to put that politely.
Yeah. There's a little, some good nature, but a little bit more agitated murmuring. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so, this next surface is offered not as part of the Republic, but as a Jedi. I would like to establish basically would I even call it a small, not even an enclave, a fucking
I think you would just, it's a mission.
yeah, a small Jedi mission in the area. Over in Mor Eridu, we have several of the Jedi Service Corps who excel in teaching. And I'm just gonna insert explanation about the Jedi Service Corps here.
Yeah.
And
some of these guys have probably heard of them in their history of Soholiv. But I don't know if anybody's seen a Jedi Service Corps in a while.
And to assist with general education, vocational training, and let the young folk have some feel like they have some options and direction in their life. It will not be strictly restricted to the young folk. Anyone who maybe wants to learn anything will be welcome, as well as be able to get all sorts of help and services and a wide amount of things. Again, this does mean that more of the order will be in the area. And I think how does Aramaa feel about the potential scouting for Jedi? And she probably doesn't think much of it. She probably doesn't.
I
She probably
don't know if
doesn't-
you want to bring it up at all.
Well, it's just one of those things. It's like, here's the thing. Aramaa's a Miraluka. Like, them going off to be fucking Jedi is actually something that's
Kind of normal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Miraluka are one of a couple of species that, while rare in the galaxy, are all of them are on some level force sensitive.
yeah.
Not all of them have the potential to be Jedi, but it's not that weird.
You
Yeah.
you always got like foresight.
Yeah, so it's like, it's not one of those things that I feel like it needs. Yeah, it probably doesn't she probably doesn't think so much about it that she needs to like warn people they might be here to take your kids. No.
Well, and honestly,
I think to
that's
her, it's probably more of like they could leave if it gives them a chance to leave if they want.
the other. Well, as we've discussed, Aramaa might not necessarily agree with the direction the council goes. There is certainly something to be said for like. There's no like local force tradition on Soholiv, so no, yeah, you fought a Dark Jedi basically. Like you know that people who don't get scouted and trained, even if they only end up in the service corps, can go wrong, right? So like I don't know, some presence is usually better than none unless there's some kind of pre-existing. Like I feel like the way Aramaa is, if there was like a particular type of native force enclave, of which there are some who are allied with the Jedi, right?
Yeah.
Like there are certain cultures or planets or species that have force sensitives who are aligned with the Jedi Order. But like Aramaa wouldn't necessarily be like kids should go to the Jedi over them, but there isn't a big support for that on Soholiv, so I don't think you, like you said, I don't know if you really truly think of anything of it.
Yeah, no, probably not. The service corps will probably just be like, if they notice someone who's maybe force sensitive, be like, oh, instead of we gotta get him young.
Or like offer them the choice because it's like
Well, you offer the parents the choice.
Yeah.
which is
Ideally the Jedi Order has people to sense, which they do through a mixture of like. I think the way they explained it in the Clone Wars is they basically have dedicated guys who do nothing but meditate and ask the Force, "Where are Force babies?" And like go pick them up, and they have holocrons, they have big data storage records of where these potential kids are or will be, and they send out agents or they contact locals to like double check and test these kids, and are like, "Oh, hey, that guy does have force potential. We'll offer to induct them into the Order."
And in like 20 years, someone's just gonna cut one of them crystals in half. Is it like 20 years? 10 years?
There are a couple of those that get garboed.
Anyway, but basically, I just want to ask, the parents and whatnot if they'd be comfortable with such a thing being set up.
Yeah, I think it would be too mean to make you roll like full difficulty for this. They honestly don't need to be persuaded that hard. This is just like at this point, honestly, Armanda probably weighs in because this is, you've already given her everything she wants, so she's in on this. This anyway weighs in and is like, this is the future of Sohaliv, right? Like, a lot of the kids they don't want to just be farmers or miners or ranch hands, and some of them will mature. They'll grow into it just like you think they will. The same for me and my pop. He always told me I'd run with a business one day. I was like, no, Pa, I'm never gonna do that. I'm gonna, do cliff diving all my life. Well, cliff diving doesn't pay very well. So some will come home to roost once they've learned, but others they got potential, and they can, raise up and yeah. So she backs your play basically in this case, and they, like I said, I don't think there's any real call for a roll on this. It's just a positive to them.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only thing that you might need to think about, which you might need to talk to the populace about, and actually, depending on how you want to do that, there might be a role in there. But where you would want to, again, placement. Where would you want to place this? The ultimate crux of politics, guys: real estate and zoning. Everybody wants to know where the thing goes and whether the thing goes close to them.
Let's see. Well, we put the base in the canyon. We put the landing ports in Old Dog.
You first heard of the Canyon Runner problem, quote unquote, from a landowner. So that's pretty evenly distributed.
Yeah, I would say set that up because, as I said, they can also help like with labor and agricultural projects as well. So honestly, that might help like ooze over the landowners if they know they might be able to get help when they need it.
All right.
So I'll push for in the plantations and landowners.
All right. In that case, do make me another. Let's go with hard charm check, because you have to persuade the Canyon folk that, like, listen, you'll still the Jedi won't be locked to the mission house. They can still come visit you if you need like medical aid or something. But you're gonna build the building out in the more, probably in what you're saying, in the more open space where it's closer to where the Agricorps can do some good.
Yeah.
Those Agricorps kids aren't gonna do you any good up in the canyons.
So one blue. You said hard, right?
Yes, it is hard for a group of roughly a dozen.
Okay.
That's gonna be another force save for you.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, probably just like 2-1, I guess. Yeah.
Let's go with. Let's go with 1-6. Wait, yeah, 1 success, 2 advantage. I guess. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, they and in triumph, yeah, they yeah, sure. That one guy who you specifically told his daughter to come back home. He talks out about basically he tells that he does a testimonial. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. He does a heartfelt testimonial about how the Jedi helped him reunite with his kid who was out sassing in the world, and like he's all for it. And while like you said like I said, the Canyon folk are like, well, we want access to these opportunities too. You're like, listen, this will be the wide open space will be better, and the Agricorps aren't going to do any good up in the canyon. So, with your triumph, you can get him to get in there and persuade, and you can actually remember that, and gently remind them that a lot of these kids have access to vehicles, right? Because you know this because they were you broke them up as a semi-permanent swoop gang. So you can tell them, no, listen, I know these guys can drive. They can make it just fine. And I don't, if you did, I'm sorry, I forgot. Did you actually mention, and do you want to mention your long-term plans to like higher education back in Outpost Sohaliv?
Oh yeah, like if like they're like if some people are hemming on Han, I'll say like once we
Yeah, sure. They're generally with you, especially once you make your argument for like your very logical argument for like, no, listen, it's perfect.
Mhm.
Wide open spaces. They can already get access to it because they can travel.
and
Better
I'll
use of
def-
resources, all that stuff.
like I said, and yeah, then I'll mention that we'll set up like some some technical vocational training in more Iridu because we'll gesture to the landing port and railway plans. It's all like just as much as people can come here, people will be able to go there and stuff. So yes, I will definitely mention it.
And I probably at this point, since you're wrapping up your presentation,
Mhm.
this is probably where like you basically bring it all together. You're like, and listen, once we have the mission here to help educate people, and once we have the airport, we can move them over to our vocational school in more Iridu, and all of this travel will be secured by the airbase. Like, yeah, you basically hit him with the whammy of your 3-point plan. 3.5 points, whatever. Because I think I've only made you roll like 3 checks, so you definitely, we had like 4 points that you could press into like 3 talking points somewhere in there. I think it was the train thing actually. Technically, was side saddled because that's a future problem.
Yeah.
And then there'll be the rail line to bring it all together. Blah blah blah, and and kind of talk it all out with them, and they have a good time. Okay, so do you have any further of your talking points you want to hit that you haven't already? Because I think we've got most of them.
Yeah, I think we got most of them. So we got them on board. We got them on board for a military outpost in the canyon. We got them on board for the airport in Old Dog. We smoothed over all the economic stimulus and disaster relief plans. And, made it known that, the fucking business and the canyon needed a bit more than the straight out landowners, but we kind of smoothed the landowners by saying, yeah, we'll set up this mission school for your kids and anyone who wants anyone over in the plantations area, but it'll still be accessible to everyone. No, I think that's everything.
Yeah. Because if there's one thing the Nouveau Riche want, it's social mobility. We're rich. We want our kids to be educated too.
I think we got all this. Now I just gotta bundle up all these proposals and go fight with the bureaucracy.
Oh, wonderful.
That's the true battle.
Yep.
Aramaa just gonna be like a few days later, just rings over eyes, cups of cap. It's like, just cups of cap. It's like, it's just Nah, I'm not. It's like, I'd rather wrestle a Wyvern than have to spend another minute listening to them saying we don't have that money when I know they have that money.
They're
The
literally
question
sitting on it.
is, do they have that money right here, right now?
Oh, they can get it right now.
So in that case, man, I don't know. We've only been going for like 2.5 hours raw, but I am getting a little.
I would
sleepy
like
time.
to do a thing.
Yeah.
So
Well, what do
maybe
you got that you want to do? I mean, is it related to the meeting? Because I'm still here with that.
Not what I meant, but I thought you were talking about like the whole timing is everything, the whole. But yeah.
Here we have a combat interlude.
No, right. I'm sorry.
Not like that. No, but I'm like, is it
Is it this
when
treasure
the way
hunting?
you said I would like to do a thing? Do you mean like right now, or is that a broad statement of goals? Because I do have another place this is gonna go. I'm just deciding
Broad,
whether or
yeah.
not this is like the hook for a second bit of action, or if this is the end of the session. Which, oh gosh, I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. I think it might have to be the end. I know some of you want to do some more stuff, but I feel like it's 10:30 at night. I'm starting to feel a little low
Okay.
juiced.
Yeah,
I understand
I
that,
can understand
this
that.
is mainly the Aramaa show at like this session, and I'm like perfectly fine with that. This is a fucking logistics meeting.
It is.
You-
Yeah. I just feel
will-
like I probably could have not been here and nothing would have changed.
I kind of feel bad for that. I really do, but like,
No.
Well, I mean, and hey, I've said this to
No,
you
I-
guys. If you got any input, like,
yeah.
honestly, well, Boots said input. I will say, and I don't really mean this in like a mean way, but when we were talking about locations of the military base, that would have been a perfect time for both in and out of character for you to jump in there, Axe, because that would be a thing you're interested in. But I think for the most part, the reason why you guys are you guys and have your characters is because when Lucky and I do a lecture circuit, you guys, if not enjoy, or at least tolerate sitting back and just listening to us go back and forth, and occasionally Omega makes funny voices.
No, it's fair. It's fair.
Yeah.
As I've stated, like, oh, this is talking about logistics and all that, and yeah, I've chimed in as Boots occasionally, but Aramaa is the person who is all about that civilian outreach. She is the man with the plan in the situation.
This is her
So
thing,
I'm
yes.
I apologize. It's
Well,
just...
I'm perfectly
No,
fine.
I don't need to apologize. I'm just saying, like, there were some opportunities if you felt the real need to.
I personally, honestly,
thing.
I just kind of built up to it. I was like, man, I thought we'd probably just resolve what we do here, and then maybe start planning for the polar
Well, we
vault
got
next
big
week.
stuff.
But I guess we're trying not. It's fine.
I mean, I thought you wanted to go like treasure hunting after this, because like.
Yeah, like just resolve like the rest of things in the
Well,
canyon.
this is what I
and those
mean.
plot
So,
threads, yeah.
like, do you guys? Oh, Webber's gonna even talk about pilot training. Yeah. That's a thing. That's probably would be under either the Edu Corps or the Explore Corps. Talking about that, we can say you do that because you care about those things. Wevu is probably. Wevu probably didn't need to speak up because I'm sure she would have wanted the airtight base anyway. So, but what I was just gonna say was, I think Aramaa got all of her bullet points out right. You gave him the grand unified plan. Do you or any of the other player characters, for that matter? Not that I feel like some of you will feel like group public speaking, rather, but this seems to be a point where there's a little bit of a dip in the meeting as people are kind of excitedly chit chatting about options and stuff, and figuring things out. Where if you had any more salient points you wanted to hit up.
Like as I probably stated earlier, like us clones probably won't be around forever. We're here to deal with the separatists, but like afterwards, like what they can the people of Sohaliv are free to do whatever they want with the military infrastructure we leave behind afterwards. Like if they want to man it themselves or take care of themselves, like set up their own militia, they are free to go ahead, which is probably what Boots is thinking of. Because I'm pretty sure after the war, us clone boys may not be around. We may be.
Yeah, like actually, that might have been a thing that came up off mic. We talked about like the long-term war plans. There have probably been discussions of what to do with the Grand Army after the war ends, which is probably going to be steady demilitarization and basically decommission the clones, as in cancel their military commissions and like, all right, you guys are retired now. Here's your pension or your 40 acres and a mule.
You got like 3 decades before you hit the can.
But yeah, so while Boots was talking, I had a thought, and I will phrase it as somebody actually remembers to bring this up, where they're basically like, wait a minute, wasn't there a separatist based in the canyon? What's going to happen with that? So, what do you want to tell them about what you're doing with the captured separatist base?
Well, at the moment, due to the battle, the separatist base has been partially collapsed. It will not tell them it'll basically not actually function as a full base. It does have. I will mention that it has several systems still operable in it, such as the power plant and whatnot. So something could be done about it, like maybe a listening post, which could operate separately from the airbase if needed, or we could just decommission everything, close it up, and forget it existed. Unfortunately, due to the damage of it, there's not a lot of options onto it. Unless anyone else has I'll open up the floor for discussion, see if anyone has anything they'd like to do in particular with the base.
Nah, nobody probably has any better ideas.
Yeah,
So, I will ask you, because you did not mention it in your text. Do you let them know that part of your problem is that it's a giant ordnance hazard, also, because you have to relocate several tons of explosives?
What I do remember though is that it's a giant ordnance hazard, yes, but also there is a I believe it's still operational as was brought up, it's still got a geothermal plant underneath it, right?
Hmm.
Power plant's functional.
We could just
Yeah.
make it reroute
We
to
could
that kind of
just
thing.
have it repurposed as just a just off, not off the grid, but like just a far away geothermal plant to supply power to the people here.
I mean, so it's probably a little small for that, but you could certainly talk about decommissioning it as a base and expanding it as a power plant.
Yeah, and
That would
if
require more public funding. Aramaa's least favorite thing, but would
Put it on the list.
it would be one of those classic things of like it'll cost you more money now, but after you do it, the operating cost in the area will be lower because everybody will have more power available, right? It's about supply and demand and stuff.
yeah,
Well, can we expand the thermal plants at all?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You
Yeah.
could that would require upfront costs to like make new geothermal vents, build bigger generators and turbines, shit like that. But you could totally do that since that part is functional.
that is my suggestion. Because it would
Turn it
make
into a bigger power grid for the area.
Because that's the thing. Our military presence, we really don't need a listening post per se, because we'll have the Canyon Air Base. Trust me,
Yeah.
we're gonna have big sensors there for big
Like,
reasons.
in my own
Well,
opinion,
yeah, especially because you're turning it into an airbase, you'll need traffic control.
in my own opinion, with something like establishing a military presence here or security force, it would be beneficial to also have, like, in addition to security, just added benefits like, here we're setting up a security base, but also we're setting up a geothermal plant to just have more good that isn't just on a security level, if that makes any sense.
Well, I will relay your suggestion to them and be like, another option has been is with a bit more upfront cost, we could expand the geothermal plant to provide a bit, support, I suppose. I don't think it can't. I don't think it'd be able to just.
Not without some major fucking like overhauls, which you don't want
Yeah.
to do because you know that there's an active Sover nest in the area. But like,
Or auxiliary power, essentially.
Yeah.
yes, you could help massage the power grid and make electric power more uniform throughout the canyon area.
Yeah.
Because there would be a lot of people running off like portable generators or like very small wind and air turbines,
And
kind of a thing.
Yeah, which honestly probably means they can probably do more efficient mining operations in the area, probably.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So, you probably don't need it. That's that'll be that's a thing you have to yell about when you make your budget proposal later.
Oh my god, I gotta actually.
But yeah, I don't actually think Lucky had a chance to. I was gonna say, do you tell the public about the fact that right now it's full of bombs?
Yeah, I will. I'm telling you.
Okay, you let him know that nothing can be done right this second because it's a safety hazard.
Yeah.
We can't try to specify what it is, but like
In the
dangerous
process of it
element.
being damaged, it became very hard for us to strip out all the old material.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, talked about the base. I have no further points. Nobody wants to the general public ask any questions or give any
Feedback?
like suggestions to the people.
Nothing's coming to mind for me, sadly.
I've got.
Well,
right.
I will, thank everyone time and let everyone know that we are in a period of change. This means things will be different.
Actually, now shoot, I'm trying to remember. Did you mention that? Yeah, I think you did mention that this might be a further war front earlier, right?
Yes. But yeah,
we'll say you probably. It's fair to say you probably skimped on some of the tactical details because you don't want to. One, loose lips, and also you don't want to freak anybody out.
Yeah.
But just like letting them know, hey, this could still be an ongoing military theater.
Mhm.
That's why we care about this stuff.
but
Alright.
Time of change and upheaval. But it is through hard work, dedication, and coming together that makes all the difference.
All right. Pretty good.
And thank everyone for their time, I guess.
All right. So then the last thing I think the people bring up is somebody from the Canyon side is like, well, now what about those, young ruffians? And then Armand is like, hey, whoa, it's fine. We had a what? Actually, that guy probably is like, I know, I don't mean to call out your kin, Miss Gunstar. And then was like, no, it's fine. The Jedi had a talk with the kids too. My sister hasn't decided to come home, but she's they're gonna let down the rabble rouse, and I'm sure new opportunities for youngins. Blah blah blah. There's a little bit of back and forth, and somebody's like, I don't think it's so peaceful. People be talking about the rumors about the treasure. There's immediately like a little bit of change in tone in the room. Some people are like, "Oh my god, not the treasure again!" And then one of them even says, "Don't you start talking about them rumors, you old fool, no more."
You just see Camo just light up in the background. Like, what?
No, I was more thinking it was like he's like, puts like Victor says like, should we just find this thing or prove it's not there to
Well,
make
like,
the city stop?
I'm literally picturing.
No, and the guy's like, "No, I'm telling you, the fire lizards, Ariana Semrenko, they had tens, hundreds of thousands of credits cashed up in them canyons, but nobody lived to tell the tale of where it is."
I am picturing in Camo's like helmet. He's like looking at the guy and he's like, enhance audio, enhance visual. Give me all of it.
I was more thinking of like,
Taps his earpiece
Mhm.
to record.
I was more imagining this more of like, there's a difference between like me as a person wants to do it because I actually I like the idea of treasure hunting. The game I was thinking it's more of like, if they're gonna keep going on about this and Aramaa keeps saying that we need budget group funding, might as well. I guess if it's true, we might as well prove them wrong.
and I mean, to be fair, that does seem to be the like talking about maybe we should just solve this problem, right? There definitely needs to be a little bit of agita about it, and then and one guy's like, "Nah, I swear I saw a stranger. He was in town. He was asking about it, and he was looking for old Data Breaker Bryn, blah blah blah. There's strangers out there looking for the treasure. We should find the treasure." And then I think the good, yeah, we're about 2:45. I gotta edit it down, but I think a good next moment is then there's just a little clink, clink, clink. Spurs clinking.
Oh.
As a gentleman walks in, clink, clink. He's got a big broad brimmed hat. He's wearing a classic mantle, big coat. You can see, kind of salt and pepper 5 o'clock shadow. He's got a gleaming red cybernetic eye. Got a couple of low hanging, long barreled blasters hanging at his sides. Just kind of clinks in. He's followed by a familiar sight. You actually recognize this from a couple of days ago. He's followed by an act dog. A lizard dog, who's just kind of, walking at his heels. You hear, some rumors, some murmuring.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy kind of comes in and says, "Well now, whereabouts is old Bars Bryn these days?" Tips his hat. "Looking for a couple of questions." And I will say it's old Nietzsche who speaks up, and he's like, "Well, old Marshal Talonspire." And this guy interrupts and he says, "Please, Mr. Nietzsche, I'm retired." But he kind of clinks up towards the front, where probably Nietzsche was probably getting close to talking to you, with Aramaa, because he wanted to work out those deals about those land grants stuff. He kind of clinks up. He kind of tips his hat to you, "Ma'am, name's Victor Talonspire. In case you can't tell, this is Omega's McCree impression. It's high noon somewhere."
It's everyone's just runs for cover.
Yeah, you just hear the cacao noise. It's high. Everybody dives for cover.
Duck and cover, people.
He kind of tips his hat to you and he says, "I'm Victor Talonspire."
Everyone just points at him. He's got a gun.
He has a lot of guns. Well, he has 2 guns actually, but though his up close, you notice that while they are pistol gripped and cut down, the body of these things does look more like carbines than pistols.
Oh.
But he kind of he's got a toothpick in his mouth and he kind of tips into you and it says, Well, there's people asking for the treasure. I've come out of retirement for one last job. I'm looking for the lost treasure of Ariana Senrico. And, she kind of nods and says, "You're ready to solve a case after all these years?" And he's like, I feel a little corny for it, right?
Mhm.
But he would. I think it would be fair to for him to explain. That's right. 5 years ago, I, along with the Sohaliv marshals, went up into Gunman's Gorge to arrest the fire lizards. But we never. He taps his prosthetic actually. And he says, "Senrico wouldn't go down without a fight, so we never found out where they kept the treasure. I retired after that, but I have heard rumors that an old face is back in town. He's looking for the money too." He kind of, he turns back to Aramaa and he says, "I don't mean to rain on your parade, but I'm declaring my intent to catch this man, to beat him to the treasure that I've been looking for. And I'm, ready to do it on my own. Just letting you know. Should he? Nah, he's this kind of guy. I think it would be cool if he, just swirls his coat and dramatically clink, 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 clinks on out of the hall.
Mm-hmm.
That was basically the quest start cutscene. So he'll go clank back out to the main area.
Aramaa will just smile and just say, "Boots, Camo, I think that man just challenged us to a treasure hunt."
General,
I'm
Star
going
Wars
to need
theme immediately plays. No.
Yeah.
General, I'm gonna need a poncho. Cut there.
Oh, I see. This is why he decides to get into character for it.
This
man is wearing a
even harder. Just slowly flexing, just.
Her arms, her elbows are touching as she's like, just the hands are wrapping around herself.
I can
Transition
image
from arms to give yourself a hug.
I can see where the episode where we call it episode Big Iron. It'd be fun.
Big iron on his hip.
I mean, this guy does have some big iron
Pretty
in
big
it.
irons.
Big iron.
Or the other guy that might end up being a duel with or something, depending how that goes.
Draw. It's high noon. So that was Victor Townspire. You guys actually did run into him earlier, but you were busy doing something else, so he didn't stop to talk.
Yeah, he stopped by the fucking
Yeah, he was asking questions. Which Nietzsche can actually probably explain. He was there a few days ago when you guys were in town. He was starting to ask questions about this investigation. I mean, I know that's a great cutoff point, but do you guys? We could probably go for a little bit longer because we're still shy of 3 hours. Do you guys want to go ahead and maybe do some prelim work now, or UK cutting the session and then being like, next time starts your treasure hunt?
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Like,
Or possibly your race.
Okay with that, yeah.
Yeah.
In that case, I'll say probably as he's about to go out the door, I'll throw out there. I think I spoiled this name you guys earlier, but you probably don't remember because that was literal weeks ago. But he kind of calls back to you. But if you're looking for troublemakers, keep an eye out for a Keldor named Karan. He just kind of closes the door. So yeah, you can infer Karan is probably that mysterious stranger who's looking for the treasure. And he's a Keldor. So he's recognizable because he got a breath mask. Anyway, I think that's the wind down.
Yep.
I'll be real. I think this is like a base 5, a 5er.
Yeah. Maybe
Your
10 for
plan
Aramaa.
today was to have a town hall meeting. You successfully had a town hall meeting. Good job, everybody.
Yeah.
I'm almost willing to say I'm fine
Back
with
pats, butt pats all around. No, it's fair. Listen. You guys were
That's
there,
fine.
and I know you like Loth. You want to say I didn't do anything. You actually definitely spoke up in character though. Like you actively contributed to the setup.
Yeah.
Now, if you guys want to fight about your motivations, I don't think
No, Aramaa is though.
no.
I don't think anybody but Aramaa has an argument. And even then, I'm like, I don't know. I don't feel like you necessarily went out of your way to live your truth.
I mean, we
Nobody
could have
really
like,
fought Aramaa about it.
we could have legit just skimmed over this whole thing.
I
Yeah,
think
this
Aramaa.
entire meeting would not have
I will
met
make this point.
either
Then.
my motivations.
If
Even
Aramaa wasn't the
even with
character
her
that she
threat.
was, we probably would have skimmed over most of this entire talk.
Well, yeah, because she's a character who cares about this stuff, and Lucky is a player who does. If you guys are all clone troopers, I would just decide what happens off screen, probably between sessions. And we could have gone that way for sure, but this was definitely a thing where last session, Lucky was like, no, we need to call everybody together. We want to talk about our future plans. Out of character, not just because you care about logistics, but because you wanted to not immediately leave because you knew there were plot hooks.
Mhm.
Thank you very much, guys.
I like your plot hooks.
No, it's fair. It's great.
Yeah, no,
I'm not
that's it,
complaining.
that's
I
why-
say
that's why-
I say thank you as a joke.
Okay.
Because I like to say it that way. Though I do want to be like again, there's some slight shade thrown that like, you know, oh, we would have just skimmed over this. I mean, yeah, but you wanted an excuse to stay in town anyway. But no, like, yes, absolutely. Aramaa cares about this as a character and wants to talk about it, and I have given you guys plenty of opportunity to chime in, and you guys don't. I don't want to say don't care, but definitely as players and characters, you are less driven to chime into the master plan.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be real honest here. Boots gave tactical advice, but he knows very well that if he tried to chime in normally, he'd probably not say anything constructive at all. So he's
What are you
giving.
I
talking
was more
about?
like,
you suggested,
I don't-
literally suggested the thermal plant. Extent, and
Yeah,
it-
no, but no. What he's saying is that in character, Boots was like, I know if I just talk, I'm gonna be sassy, and I don't
Yeah.
want to do that.
Don't say anything stupid. Don't say anything stupid. Say
That's very in
anything
character.
related to what's been discussed, but don't say anything else at all.
Part of it was me was like, I don't really know what else to add because it's like I can't really. He's like, I just couldn't wrap my mind around what to like add that wasn't already said. So it's-
Mhm. I mean,
I
you can
feel
always
bad in that
ask-
regard,
You can
but-
always ask questions.
I always
There,
feel bad.
there were
for
plenty of
breaking
times
flow.
when Lucky would ask a question, or when I would fill in while we were commenting, like, well, because of your experience, you would know this. Like you
Fair
said,
enough.
mostly off mic. You've established that Camo does have quite a bit of experience, and obviously, you, in real life, are not a grizzled veteran
Yeah.
conditioned for battles, who's spent months or weeks in a woods fighting the enemy. So, like, if you ever have any questions about what fits your experience,
Like, sadly, I only just thought up of it now, but one thing we could suggest, because you have the survival know-how and I have the medical know-how, would be, well, Old Dog is a bit rural, and we're not sure, like, how many dangerous animals there are in the area or venomous, but we could try to set up some kind of medical tent just in case people really need it.
Or like
Because you
get a
never know when
survey on
someone
it,
will just come by and be like, I got bit by a poisonous mud shark or something.
like some kind of like soybean babies are like hypervenomous or something.
It like,
Hmm.
they
I
probably
mean,
have
you
their
guys
own
have literally been attacked by
Scorpicondas, yeah.
night
yeah
stings?
by other venomous insects.
Yeah, like,
I-
I don't
I-
know what.
I-
I'm sorry.
Though
no.
Aramaa has more experience than you because she was attacked by a sea snake that was absolutely venomous.
Oh, yeah, and
Yeah.
Cameron was almost carried away by a night sting. But
No, and I think
Yeah, no-
honestly, as we've discussed with Wevu, she definitely feels like when there's not, she is an action character, not a talking character. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
So like
very
when there's
fair.
talking, she just you kind of stand back. She offers casual suggestions, but when there's action to be done, you're ready to go. You were much more at the
Yeah.
forefront in those other scenarios.
Yeah.
Like-
yeah, it's also very in terms of
I've
that,
always-
just like sorry, it's just like action character. You're probably not going to be able to get our backstory unless you probe that a whole lot.
And you're our
So-
commanding officer, so it's that kind of it's the whole Aramaa situation again.
Like I do know that I'm
Oh,
not.
she won't throw you against the ground and be like,
Not what I
You
meant.
you.
really haven't been sassed by Boots enough. Eventually, you will want to throw him into the ground.
No, she's got a tail attack.
Ah, shit!
Yeah.
She'll tail slap you.
No, what she'll do is she'll spin on the spot and his tail will sweep his feet out from under him.
If you want to be classy about it, sure.
Well, yeah. But what I was gonna suggest though, because I don't know what medical facilities they have here at Old Dog, but just something along the lines of just having something to give them medical aid on the off chance they need it. Because from what I remember from any city builder I've ever played, for infrastructure, one of the things you do need is some kind of medical attention,
Mhm.
along with
Actually,
education.
that reminds
and
me. Is there even a hospital in Civ 6?
Hospital, no.
No,
Yeah, it's
I'm
weird.
because I played City Skylines. That's one of the first.
No,
things
yeah,
you-
city builders, yes. They probably
Yes.
have whatchamacallit.
clinics.
Yeah, probably have mostly like field clinics, actual, personal doctors you call up.
Private
Medical
physician.
tent might be a little small, but yeah, we got the
Yeah.
whole edgy thing anyway. I think we're all set
Actually,
at 5.
but thinking about it, like probably like, just in hindsight, Camo could probably like mention like some things about like just because he spent like a few days like surveying the area because we had to
Yeah,
like, hunt
you've been
down
out
the whole
up in
thing.
the, up in the
So it's
hill.
like we probably know like areas of like these are wildlife areas. Probably if we're actually going to expand it, you probably want to avoid specifically here or actually like do something to like compensate for like animals or like poison. But
Camo just draws up a map. It's like, okay, see this part here, and everyone's like, yes. Stay the fuck away from here. They're like, okay.
yeah, they
We'll
probably
stay
mostly know it
still
because
need
they've been
to-
here longer.
I still need to fight a soy burn.
Like if it came up, right? Like cuz hey, so the arc and bark speeders stands for the same thing that Camo's arc does. They're biker recon commandos. So like your airbase might have recon elements of, probably not full blown arc training, but there are definitely some, recon bikers.
Yeah.
And if you were like, well, here's what we're gonna bring in, you could point to Camo.
I was like,
You've fist fought
yeah.
a lot of things on this planet. You haven't fist fought a mountain goat camel yet.
That's true.
Maybe the polar vault on the way there, probably.
Sorry, I'm just
I don't
trying to
know.
wrap my head
There
around
probably
those words.
There's-
Imagine
I'm gonna
Camel.
warn you, if fauna comes up, it's probably gonna be pretty specialized if you get to the ice caps.
Fair enough.
It's gonna be
Probably
different.
like some very heavy duty shit.
We can get into some interesting things up in there. But that's for later future planning.
Mhm.
I think we're pretty set on the
Current idea.
on the treasure hunt.
Yeah, that.
So I think it's fair for me to tell you. So plot A, which you've already done completely, was called Fire in the Sky.
Mhm.
Plot B was called
Hey.
Canyon Runners. You're now about to do plot C, which is called Begin Again.
Oh.
Ooh. Fancy name.
Yeah. Just
Which
side
I mean, I can
note.
tell you that I possibly was heavily influenced, maybe not directly inspired, but definitely gave me some of my energy for it. The people a tease for the next time by shoot, what was that? What was the first DLC called in Fallout New Vegas? The Sierra Madre one.
Oh, Sierra Madre, yeah.
Dead money.
Dead
Dead
Money,
Money.
yes. I was definitely influenced by the aesthetics of Dead Money a little bit.
So long as you don't put us in the big empty, I'm pretty sure we'll be fine.
I don't think that could work.
I don't know. That sounds like a separatist think tank lab.
Yeah.
Robo Scorpions.
Look at that
I can
thing
do
with
that
all-
voice very easily.
Oh my god, is that tiny penises on its hand?
What?
Right.
I
That-
will
that-
I never
eat
played
your
any of the
brainwaves.
New Vegas DLC. Was it New Vegas?
Ooh. Yeah,
Uh,
that's interesting. They're really good.
Alto Blues is pretty good. Some fun
Dead
dialogue.
Money is mechanically a fucker because they
Yes.
knock you out and steal all your shit.
It's
and
just-
make you
it's
fight
just
in
a proper
toxic
whole
wasteland
DLC,
full
yeah.
of horrible demonic gremlin gas mask people who I hate.
Yeah,
But
the whole-
thematically, it's great.
it's a whole legitimate thing of how to put this.
It's like a post APOC casino heist basically because
It's
but-
that mixed with survival horror, which is interesting.
Yes, they go a lot stronger on the survival horror themes, but also it has a lot. The Begin Again is the signature song that's played. I'll pull up the MP3 for Lucky after I kill the audio. which I will do shortly.
Plus,
but I
there's a
just
very
wanna stay
special
on-
thing about Dead Money where there is the one time where they punish you for doing a skill check.
Yeah, it's got some weird stuff like that, but it involves a lot of interesting relationships with your heist crew and characters, and there's a lot of these themes, right, of letting go, beginning again. Like,
Yeah.
it's the Sierra Madre and its vault full of gold, or like the last big score, right?
Mm.
So it's like, and physically the game punishes you for trying to steal all of it because it's gold, so it's fucking heavy. It's worth a lot of caps, but it
There's a
makes
way
it
to make
hard
it work,
to
but
flee.
yeah.
Like, because I think there's a timer on it, so you like have limited time in the vault when it opens and stuff. So you gotta like, it
then you got-
even pulls the theme to the player character. It's very interesting. All right, but anyway, I think we've given all our thoughts for next time. We'll get into that plot
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, we will.
And done my map thing.
And we
So
get
we're
to
gonna
hear
go ahead
more
and sign off.
cowboy voice.
Righty.
Yeah.
All right, good night, everybody. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Have a lovely day.
See ya.
All right, I have stopped.
Quick thing, if you guys